All right. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. My name is Robin Wansley. Sorry, excuse me. Yeah. If we can have quiet, we have to. Thank you. All right. So my name is Robin Wansley. I am the chair of the Administration and Enterprise Oversight Committee. I am going to call to order our adjourned meeting for today, Tuesday, June 25th, and I'll now have the clerks call the roll.
Councilmember Vita.
Present.
Allison is absent. Cashman.
Present.
Trictai.
Present.
Vice Chair Palmisano.
Present.
Chair Wansley.
Present.
We have 5 present.
Let the record reflect that we have quorum. As a reminder, we will be using speaker management this evening. I see several colleagues who are not a part of the AO committee who have joined us, Councilmember Chavez, Councilmember Chowdhury, as well as Councilmember Rainville. So please feel free to log in. We've adjusted the settings to make sure, you all should be able to log on and be able to get in queue when it's time to get in discussion for the police contract item. But before we begin, I also would like to welcome members of the public who are here and are watching online. Also encourage you, if you are here to speak to the public comment period, please sign up over here in the right-hand corner with the clerks, and they will get you situated. This committee will first be taking up the consent agenda, and then we will be moving on to the discussion items, which includes the police contract. As many members of the public are aware, this committee was unable to conduct business on June 18th because we did not have quorum, meaning we did not have enough members to be able to conduct business for last Tuesday. And so in order to fulfill the commitment that I have made as chair related to the police contract item to hold 2 public comment sessions before we take up a final vote, I have and will be proposing to continue this conversation to the July 8th meeting of this committee. This timeline will allow us to have feedback and presentations from additional groups that are still being finalized. And, I just wanted to make sure that there's transparency around the process, which then means we will take up this item once again on July 8th at 1:30 p.m. in this same location. So with that, I will move forward with the consent agenda as I noted.
Madam Chair, I'm in queue. Before we get into the agenda tonight, I'd like your approval to allow comments from the additional community groups that I have RCAs here in front of us all to hear from.
Second. All right, that motion has been seconded. What I will note, and as I communicated to you, Vice Chair Palmisano submitted a RCA actually for the July 8th AO committee meeting to give 3 additional community presentations, to which I am more than happy to accommodate. They are also aware that we communicated this meeting in advance and notify the public of who will be presenting, and I intend to stick to that presentation tonight. So I will not be supporting that motion, but more than happy to call the roll on that vote. So with that,
Madam Chair, I'd like to speak on that motion.
For sure, you can speak on your motion.
Thank you. Councilmember Wansley, I know you weren't at agenda setting, but as I said there and would like to say in public, I've been a member of this body for more than 10 years now, and it is unprecedented for us to take public comments on a labor contract, especially from highly political single-issue advocacy organizations. And I wonder, from a fairness perspective, will we do this for AFSCME? Will we do this for our fighter contracts? And what kind of precedent are we setting? We're a governing body, and I strenuously object to this body creating a platform and giving a microphone to any of these advocacy groups that come on these single issue topics. We are elected to represent the views of all residents, not just those who are most politically involved. And so if we are going to make this a recurring practice, I think we need to establish objective, consistent criteria and a process for that. Right now, there is nothing in our council rules that determine who gets to present and when. At the June 18th meeting of AEO, you indicated that other community perspectives would be heard based on whether or not they had a request for council action. So at that request, I completed these RCAs for these groups to be on the agenda. They are groups that are broad-based. They convene and work on a number of topics, and one of them works directly with community and police. I understand you declined to include that as a late addition to the published agenda that is before us, but these groups reached out after learning that another group was going to be presenting, complete with presentation in time and published to our agenda. So I just think that if we're opening the door to presentations from outside advocacy groups, we have to let everybody in, not just those who are particularly ideologically aligned with somebody on this council. So I hope that you would allow these diverse community coalitions to share their perspectives, and if not, they are still signed up to speak as individual members tonight. So there won't be a presentation by them on July 8th.
Great. I did put myself in queue. And Councilmember Ellison, you already messing up the flow. We're supposed to be doing speaker management, but I'm going to let you pass. Oh, yes, if Vita, Councilmember, please coordinate on that, so I'll have you on cue afterwards. So I just want to offer again some clarification to some of the things that Vice Chair Palmisano just mentioned. So Vice Chair Palmisano is a senior member of this body, as well as the rest of my colleagues know that there are deadlines in order to get on the agenda. In order to get on what was originally the June 18th agenda, that, again, we did not have quorum to conduct this business and therefore are doing an adjourned meeting tonight. In order to have gotten on that agenda, as a council member, you would have had to submit your RCA by June 10th. Monday, June 10th. So that is something that everyone of this body knows. There is no processes in place that precludes council members from being able to submit proposals to invite groups. In fact, as Vice Chair Palmisano highlighted, will we do this for ASME or any bargaining unit? Actually, yes. I'm working with Council Member Chavez in the Public Health and Safety Committee to do a public comment period for labor groups as well. So we have been very much pro incorporating public feedback and community engagement. In fact, this committee approved a work plan where we adopted that as a core principle of doing engagement. And while I believe you might not have been part of the Policy and Government Oversight Committee last year, we actually set that precedence of inviting community groups to give perspectives on contracts. Actually, the group that we're hearing from tonight, we had them come last term as well, and Councilmember Ellison, who used to chair that committee, could speak to that piece too. So this is not unprecedented, as Vice Chair Palmisano mentioned, and there is no processes that is basically getting people off the agenda or selectively choosing groups over others. As I highlighted earlier, Vice Chair Palmisano submitted after the deadline of Juneteenth to get these groups onto the agenda, which I am more than happy, which the deadline you submitted for July 8th, to accommodate that, and that is what we are more than happy to proceed with. So if the groups would like to present then, you're more than welcome as well, in addition to testifying tonight. But with that, I will pass it to Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just a quick question. Is this 3 different presentations, or is this one presentation, Councilmember Palmisano?
Through the chair, Councilmember Ellison, these are 3 other groups that have statements that I've asked to be around 5 minutes in length each. So after the already published item, I would ask that they would each have an opportunity to say what they need to say.
Okay, and I know that there is maybe some disagreement around having a second hearing. I support a second hearing. I'm want to hear from all kinds of perspectives. Just wanted to get some clarity on that, and also wanted to make sure that we aren't getting the agenda so long that we're, that we can't do the business before us. I'm not opposed to another group's perspective. I don't want to have this be sort of an extended, long back and forth. I know that one group has a presentation that, that I presume is going to have information. We've heard from them before, and so I'm trying to make a decision about whether I would support this here today. I would certainly support it being on the next agenda item where we take up further public comment. But thank you for the clarity, and I just wanted to kind of understand if we were signing ourselves up for 3 additional presentations, and you helped clarify that. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellison. I see Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair. And, I seconded Councilmember Palmisano's motion because I support the other groups being added to the conversation. But I am concerned that we're making the public kind of have false hopes about what this information tonight that they're going to share with us means. We have no opportunity to go back and negotiate this contract. So when people get up here and present the information to us, we're not going to take it back and say, go back, fix the contract with what people have come here today and said. There's no opportunity for us to do that at all. And so what you're going to be sharing with us tonight, public citizens of Minneapolis, is probably something that'll be used in the next contract negotiations, because our ability to negotiate what you're going to get before us, whether it's a presentation or your public comment, will not be a part of the negotiations for this contract. I just want to make that clear to people as they're here. So this public comment period is past the period for any negotiations or any opportunities. For me, I've seen some Ward 4 residents. For me to go back and say, my Ward 4 resident said this, include or not include. I just want to make that very clear to the public, that we're just here listening to your concerns tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vita. I see Councilmember Cashman in queue.
Thank you, Chair Wansley. I'm happy to support Palmisano's motion today. I think more voices on this is good. This is the first time that we've been able to have a public comment period about the police contract, the first time that this contract has been made fully transparent, and that's really notable, and it's important that everybody gets a chance to weigh in. So I'm grateful for everyone being here tonight, and we'll vote yes on a motion to include those presentations.
All right, I see everyone in queue, and I do want to also reiterate Councilmember Vita is right in terms of council's role as it relates to the police contract is to either vote up or vote down, but what there was a commitment towards was having public engagement and 2 opportunities to do so. That was supposed to be June 18th, as well as this meeting. June 18th didn't happen, so we're looking to take this up on July 8th, where we also have 2 additional groups that have already submitted RCAs to get on the agenda, so we'll be receiving presentations from those groups as well. And once to reiterate, we all have a process in place to get on the agenda. All you have to do is submit the paperwork by the deadline. And if my colleagues have any confusion around that, I ask that you seek out assistance from the clerks. But with that, I will actually take a roll call vote.
Councilmember Vita,
Aye.
Ellison,
No.
Cashman,
Aye.
Chiptai,
No.
Vice Chair Palmisano,
Aye.
Chair Wansley.
Nay.
We have 3 ayes and 3 nays.
All right, that motion fails. So we will continue on with the rest of our agenda, which is the consent agenda. So the first being a gift acceptance from Local Progress of travel and lodging expenses. Number 2 is the Minneapolis Advisory Committee on Aging appointments. 3 is a bid for Fairview North ADA ped ramp improvements. 4 is a bid for large diameter sanitary sewer televising north. Number 5 is a bid for large diameter sanitary sewer televising northeast. 6 is a bid for large diameter sanitary sewer televising south. 7 is a bid for large diameter sanitary sewer televising southwest. 8 is a bid for Johnson Street Northeast and 35W reconstruction. Number 9 is a bid for the 2024 through 2025 tree removal and disposal. 10 is contracts with various vendors for Health 2024 well-being projects. 11 is a contract with CDM Smith for Northeast High Service Pump Station Design Services. 12 is a contract amendment with PCI Roads LLC for construction of the Fridley Softening Plant Rail Area Structure Rehabilitation Project. 13 is a contract amendment with Homeline for legal advice, education, and resources for low-income Minneapolis renters. 14 is a contract amendment with Morcon Construction, Inc. for Convention Center Ceiling and Lighting Phase 4 project. 15 is a contract amendment with Getchna USA Corporation for a citation issuance and management system. Number 16 is the legal settlement lawsuits of Muhammad v. City of Minneapolis. 17 is the claim settlements, Nicholas Larson v. City of Minneapolis. 18 is legal settlement worker compensation claim of George Judkins. And then 19 through 23 are additional legal settlement worker compensation claims. With that, I will move the consent agenda for approval and stand for questions if there are any. Let me check the queue. Okay, nothing on queue except me. I did want to note that we do have another batch, as I read for the public, of worker compensation claims from MPD officers totaling another $600,000. I won't be supporting them, as I haven't been in the past, because I don't believe rubber stamping expenditures that we're still trying to figure out how to safeguard from potential abuse. But until there's more clarity around that and making sure that our PTSD system is fully robust and vetted, I really look forward to hopefully getting more feedback from staff as we're working on actually one test case for this. But with that, I will move approval of the consent agenda. We can do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those not in favor say nay, which I will note for the clerks, a couple of them nay on 18, 19, 21 through 23. All right. Next, we will move on to our first discussion item, which is related to the bid acceptance. Sorry.
Madam
Yes,
Chair,
yes.
just really quickly, you did not mention item 24,
Oh.
which is the postponement of a presentation. I just wanted to clarify for the record that that item is being postponed to July 8th.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So the postponement is basically continuing the legislative directive that I co-author and a number of other colleagues around improving workplace culture. This will be postponed to July 8th, our next AO meeting, and we'll receive a presentation from Human Resources in response to that legislative directive. So thank you so much, clerks, for catching that. Next, we will move on to our next discussion item, which is related to a bid acceptance for the Minneapolis Convention Center meeting room remodel. This originally was in our committee or on our committee agenda for June 3rd and recommended for approval, but was returned to committee at our June 13th council meeting. We did follow up with staff, specifically from finance in the convention center, to be here and be available to answer any questions on this item. So I will check the queue to see if there's any discussion and if there's any staff here who are available to speak to that. Oh, awesome. If we could have staff come forward and just give a brief overview of the item before we take it up. And then I will then call on Councilmember Cashman, Council Vice President Chuck Tsai, who's in queue. Thank you, staff. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair Wansley. Jeff Johnson, General Manager of the Minneapolis Convention Center. I guess based on what you would you like me to just stand for questions, or would you like me to give a brief overview of what the actual project is?
Both. If you could give a brief overview, and then it seems that we do have someone in queue, so potential questions. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you for that clarifications. So the Convention Center is an award-winning convention center in our country with a great staff that works hard every day to support the thousands of people that come to Minneapolis in order to come to events. If you are out and about right now, you will see a lot of families, a lot of gymnasts around the city. Obviously, they are at the Minneapolis Convention Center right now, and also the Target Center here starting on Thursday. We do all of that through the revenues that we get through our events that come into the city, but we also get them through something called the local option sales taxes. And so those local option sales taxes come into the Downtown Assets Fund and help us then pay for all of our operations, any of our repair and maintenance as we go forward. No general fund dollars are used at the Minneapolis Convention Center. All of that is either provided by ourselves or through those local option sales taxes. We also help pay for, through those funds, the Target Center, PV Plaza, and then the money that we pay the city share for U.S. Bank Stadium debt. And so a lot of fixed costs are coming out of those taxes as they come in. We're a 34-year-old facility, and so we have not seen a major renovation of our building in over 20 years. And it's a 1.6 million square foot building, so it is a big building. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of planning to make sure that we can keep this building looking great for our guests and clients when they come in. And we do that through our budgeting process and through what's called the Downtown Assets Financial Plan. Activity at the convention center draws more taxes to the city, which we then use to help pay for the convention center. And so, again, the better the convention center is as the foundation of the hospitality community, the more money we create, the more money we have then to reinvest in the convention center and the downtown assets. So the project that we're working on today entails our meeting rooms. We have 87 meeting rooms in our building. It's 93,000 square feet of meeting rooms. We've planned for over 3 years for this renovation of our meeting rooms. Many of them have not been touched in decades and have components in them that are needing to be replaced. We just completed phase 1 of this renovation with a $1.5 million project that did about 6,600 square feet. That was 6 rooms. And we did that as a prototype. So we usually, when we have big, huge projects, we like to do a prototype first so that we can see how it works. We were able to allow our employees, Meet Minneapolis, the Minneapolis hoteliers, some of our clients see the end product and say, give us the thumbs up so that it's a good idea to go forward. And so here we are now wanting to go forward with phase 2. Phase 2 will be 39 meeting rooms, or about 52,000 square feet of meeting room space. That's going to be $12.9 million. It's about $250 a square foot. We are replacing our movable walls, our carpet, doors, ceilings, which are all at the end of their useful life. We're also able to put in better lighting, be able to upgrade some of the different features that are more user-friendly, easier to clean, have better, more of a light to them and a better color scheme. And so we're really excited about what this will do in order to make sure that we remain competitive. We will have a phase 3, because if you've been adding up, I'm not to 93,000 square feet yet. And so we have not bid that project yet, but we'll be coming back with a phase 3 for meeting rooms. That will be another 42 meeting rooms, or 35,000 square feet. And we hope to do that in October of 2025 through April of 2026. We do all of this and are planful because when we renovate space, we have to take it off of our books and we can't sell it. And so if we miss our time frame that we've taken off our books, then we start to impact our clients. And that causes us to have challenges from a financial standpoint, challenges with the legality of that, because we've signed contracts with people. And so why this is important is because we have that blocked space, which we're not selling right now. We need to upgrade those rooms, and we need to keep this process going forward. And so hopefully with approval tonight, we'll be able to continue this process, continue to make sure that the convention center is the foundation of our hospitality community, and we'll be able to fit it into that time frame that we've held. So with that, I can take any questions if there are any.
Thank you so much. I see 2 in queue, the first being Council Vice President Chuck Ty.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Director Johnson, thank you for coming to committee this evening and providing a brief overview to the committee about this item. I had a chance to talk with you about what this allocation was seeking to do, and graciously was able to come and actually tour the meeting rooms that are being renovated. So I just want to appreciate you for your flexibility in navigating this with us. My question is actually for the city attorney. Can you clarify for the committee? I've had a chance to talk with you about this privately, but I think it's good for us to have a conversation in committee here around the local option sales tax, which goes into the downtown assets fund, and what the allowable uses for those resources are.
Madam Chair, Council Vice President, yeah, I can give a bit of an overview, and I will also say Director Fernandez is an expert on this topic. But the Downtown Assets Fund, we address in our city financial policies, which are adopted by the council, what happens to local sales tax. And these funds are placed into the Downtown Assets Fund to be used for a few different uses, but the convention center is obviously a primary one of those. So essentially, if the funds are not used for this particular purpose, they don't bounce to the general fund. They are really limited to this Downtown Assets Fund. So it's, if obviously the council can approve or disapprove of a contract as usual. But the fate of those funds is not that we then get to use those funds for a different purpose. They would just revert back to the Downtown Assets Fund.
And just to follow up on that, our financial policies outline the different uses for that revenue, including its economic development and the maintenance of our downtown assets. Am I missing another thing from that list?
Madam Chair, Madam Vice President, I'm just trying to look on my very small screen here at the financial policies, and I'm not seeing any other use, but I would defer to Director Fernandez if there's something in addition that I'm not seeing.
No. Sorry.
She says no.
Oh, okay.
Wonderful, thank you. But Madam Chair, I wanted to just thank you for working with me and Vice Chair of the Budget Committee, Koski, on exploring potential repurposing of these resources and indulging us in bringing this item back to committee and just doing further due diligence. I think seeing a $13 million allocation for the purpose of renovating boardrooms, while I think the justification and the resource that the convention center is in our economic development work is absolutely understood and valued, understand the importance of it. That large of an allocation on renovation of boardrooms that are about, as you said, 25 years old, when we are also trying to find the resources right now as a body to fund this Police Federation contract that is in front of the body for consideration, just felt like a really difficult choice. And so happy to vote for approval of this item today, and thank you.
All right. Thank you, Council Vice President. Next, I see Councilmember Cashman.
Thank you, Chair Wansley, and thank you, Mr. Johnson and Director Fernandez. I am also happy to support this item. The convention center is in the 7th Ward. I know how much value this brings to the Loring Park neighborhood as well, with all the visitors, to local businesses. It's really important for downtown revitalization that we're able to welcome tourists to our city. I was wondering if you can just provide us with a sense of what the $13 million is in the scope of your total annual budget in the Downtown Assets Fund.
Chair Wansley, Councilmember Cashman, our total budget is around $62 million. The actual taxes that come in through the local option sales tax are about $100 million, and then are spent on those other items. We have a repair and maintenance fund, which is part of our adopted budget each year, of about $15 million. And so this is a large portion of that, which we'll be able to manage over the time frame that we're working on these projects. But it is definitely a large portion of our yearly repair and maintenance budget.
Thank you. That's all I wanted to understand, is the context of this expense against the other expenses that you make. Thanks.
Thank you. And last, I see Councilmember Vital. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Wansley. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Mr. Johnson, for your time, and also to Mr. Deef for spending time clarifying things. So Ward 4 residents thought we were paying $13 million for one room to be renovated. So I really appreciate the clarity around it being 39 rooms, and that this is a separate fund that we will be pulling this money out of. You know, there's been a lot of stories in the news about the taxes being raised, and I do think people have a choice in if you want to renovate one room for $13 million, right? Or if you want your taxes to stay low. And so I appreciate you clarifying all the things. I think this is a smart move for the convention center. That's about what we do in our houses, right? 20 years, we get a new bathroom. 20 years, you get a new deck. So it makes sense that you're doing it. We have to stay competitive. If we want to keep downtown booming and inviting people in, our rooms have to look like the rooms in cities that are similar to downtown. So thank you for the clarity. It has been just delightful to work with you and your team and to be able to communicate back to Ward 4 residents what's going to happen at the convention center and how we're going to fund it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Vital. I'm not seeing anyone else in queue, so seeing no further discussion, I will just do voice votes and we'll make the motion to forward this to full council. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, there's no nays. The ayes have it and the motion carries. So next is our discussion item related to the authorization of the collective bargaining agreement with the Minneapolis Police Officers Federation. We have two presentations as well as a public comment period before we take up consideration of the agreement itself. Committee members should have copies of the slides in front of them. If you have not, please alert the clerks, and I'm pretty sure they will get you one. And also printed copies should be at the table to the right end for the public who would like to receive that as well. And all of these documents are on limbs. So with that, I will ask staff to begin.
Thank you, Chair Wansley, Vice Chair Palmisano, members of this committee, council members. I'm Margaret Anderson Kelleher. I'm the COO of the City of Minneapolis. Tonight, I am standing before you because both of our key leaders in this area, both our Labor Relations Director and our HR Director, have had emergencies. And so I will be doing the presentation this evening with my partner here tonight on this topic, the City Attorney, Kristen Anderson. So first, I want to say a big thank you to our labor relations team, to Rashida Delooney, to her entire team, as well as City Attorney Sarah Riskin, who all played a critical role in how we got to this point tonight. I also I will be going through a number of the items that really are unique, both about process in this particular labor contract, as well as items that are going to be highlighted. I do want to say, though, that I have firsthand knowledge, because I've been involved, that also all of you were involved in this way of being able to hear what the priorities of the City Council are in this police contract. And that came through a variety of ways, certainly to leadership, to the president and vice president and the former president and vice president of the council, very engaged, giving us feedback about where the bright lines would be and what was desired in the contract. And so this contract before you represents that sort of input. First of all, I want to note this contract covers the period from January 1st, 2023 to December 31st, 2025. We have been out of contract with our police officers union for quite a while. This, should you vote yes, and of course the administration hopes you will vote yes, will put us back into compliance with the contract. There's significant reform in this contract. There's also significant pay in this contract. That pay will help us attract, hire, and retain the officers of the future for Minneapolis. And I am proud to be before you presenting. City Attorney Anderson's going to take the first slide, and then I will come back up.
Good evening, everyone doing double duty as counsel on the dais and presenter here today. Just to frame our framing, and I know you all know this, but really for the benefit of the public, I wanted to just set the groundwork for what is it that we're doing here, and what are the different roles and responsibilities, particularly in this government structure that we all know about, that we have this executive branch and we have this legislative branch. So just like with any other kind of contract, and frankly, we had an example of this in the prior matter with the convention center, with any sort of contract, it's the executive branch's role and responsibility, duty, jurisdiction to negotiate the contract. This contract is really very similar to that. You know, we have a whole structure of labor law and labor union relationships and a structure of law, frankly, that surrounds all of it. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the council, this is a contract that's negotiated by the executive branch. We negotiate at arm's length with our union partners, and in this situation came to a tentative agreement, which then the union presented to their own membership. The membership ratified it, and then it's considered a tentative agreement. So you hear us talking about TA. It stands for tentative agreement in this world. And once we have a tentative agreement, what we are required to do under law, under the Public Employment Labor Relations Act, PELRA, another where all the acronyms soup around here, under PELRA, we are obligated to seek a resolution or an ordinance approving the contract. So that's really what we're doing here today, is exercising our responsibility under the law once we reach an agreement with the union to bring it before the legislative body of the municipality for passage of a resolution approving the contract. What this council's role is, again, very similar to any other contract, is not to change the terms that have been negotiated between the executive branch and the union, or the executive branch or any other parties, not to change any of the terms, but to simply say yay or nay, up or down, approve or disapprove, yes to this resolution or no to this resolution. Which is not uncomplicated in terms of all of the things that you need to think about and the issues that you're grappling with. I don't mean to minimize your job, but at the end of the day, it's an approval or disapproval. If this council votes in favor of this resolution, passes this resolution approving the contract, then it gets presented to the mayor. Presumably the mayor signs it, and it's published, and then it will be effective, again, as the COO identified, retroactive to January 1, 2023. Again, this process is a very common process, and also a process that this council recently went through in approving the labor contract for Laborers Local 363. Very familiar process, but again, we totally recognize that this contract has a lot of importance to the public. So with that framing up, I'll pass it back to the COO.
Chair Wansley and members, I want to take us back through that this contract before you is being presented with an incredible amount of transparency in process of getting here, as well as community input. 4 community input sessions were held in 2022, as well as an online portal for feedback to be able to collect and gather what the public was looking for in a future contract. There was a mayor's work group, including council members, who worked on strategy as well as prioritizing items. There were 5 fully public negotiation sessions in the fall of 2023. That had a corresponding website that had every single posting of both process and parties' proposals put on it and responses. And then, in a move that we believe is a first, the published red line of the proposed contract and salary schedule was posted on that website on June 7th of this year. Before I go to the key highlights, I also want to note that our police chief and his leadership are in the audience tonight, as well as the president of the Police Federation Union, who is a partner in negotiating this contract. So for the highlights, and important highlights. The public is probably aware, and I know all of you are aware, that a number of times in the past, when something is being proposed or managerial rights are being exerted, that there have been letters of agreement that have not been known to the public. Letters of agreement are a fairly normal process in the labor process, but there were many of them. And at times, I think they, in the past, have maybe contributed to confusion about how the chief and his leadership team could move, what the city could do or not do. One of the big priorities of the administration and of many of you, I believe, was to try to zip those letters of agreement up together in this contract. And that has happened here. So a process by which both the city and the Police Federation Union went through and presented all letters of agreement and then had a discussion about those letters of agreement. And they agreed to the ones that are now zipped into this contract. They are actually included as part of this contract. This means that there is clarity for the public. It means there's clarity for the city, and it means there's clarity for the police as well about what is in this contract through those letters of agreement. That is a new article in the agreement. The next item that we have heard a lot about is staffing flexibilities, AKA known as 70-30. And for the public, I'm going to shorthand this to that what this had meant is that 70% of bids for shifts were in response to 911 calls, 30% were discretionary. This item allows for the suspension of this rule beyond the life of the contract to December 31st, 2026, that allows the chief total discretion in this item, and is an important piece that we have heard from both the public and all of you that you wanted to see included. Civilian investigators are included as a letter of agreement in the documents before you. That is attachment G. Part of this story is about reimagining public safety. And part of reimagining public safety and community safety is making sure that sworn personnel are where sworn personnel need to be. And where civilians can do work, that they are allowed to do work. And that's exactly what this does. This allows for civilians to do investigations, and through the new agreement, the city can hire those civilians to do investigatory work. By having civilians do this work, and it can be completed by a non-sworn employee, the chief will be able to really maintain that limited complement of police officers we have today to do the critical safety work that we need. An item that was a high priority for many community groups, all of you, and for the administration was public data requests, and making sure that officers will no longer automatically be notified of the identity of the person who is making that public personnel data request about them. This is a very important change. It does not mean, though, that an officer, the officer could still go through a process through state law of the Data Practices Act and still request information. But this does not make that automatic anymore and protects the identity of someone requesting that file. Leave time period. This provision gives the chief flexibility, more flexibility, to be able, in cases of allegations and investigation of severe misconduct, to be able to keep an officer out from 30 days to 180 days, allowing more time for that investigation to take place. Going to ask the city attorney to come and cover this next slide.
Madam Chair, council members, so one of the things that we did in negotiating this contract was right at the beginning of contract negotiations, the city sent a letter to the union repudiating some practices. So what in the world does repudiating mean? So this is a term of art in labor law, which essentially means that if at the beginning of the bargaining, one of the parties says, look, we've got this longstanding practice, but we don't want to continue with this longstanding practice. We think we have the ability to just do this on our own, but we have this longstanding practice. We want to end that. At the beginning of the negotiation session, you send off a letter to the other party to the bargaining and say, I'm putting you on notice that we are ending this practice. If you don't negotiate this practice as part of this bargaining agreement, then the practice is done. And so that's exactly what we did at the beginning of this negotiation session on three important issues. The first, it was very similar to the letter of agreement that the COO talked to you about, and this is for use of civilians for background check investigations and misconduct investigations. The letter of agreement in the contract has to do with criminal investigations and using non-sworn folks for those types of investigations, but we decided that we could handle using non-sworn folks for background check and misconduct investigations by simply notifying the union that we no longer are going to limit ourselves to using non-sworn folks in MPD for that activity within MPD. So now we can freely use civilians for background check and misconduct investigations and avoid an unfair labor practice claim from the union. The second item we repudiated was a longstanding practice of giving complete deference to officers when they ask for work schedule requests, vacation requests. And so what we have changed the standard for now, it will be, of course, we will be reasonable and we will take into account officers' desires for vacation, but they will not be given ultimate deference. And then the third thing is we will enforce our grievance deadlines. And so we put the union on notice that to the extent that we maybe didn't in some past situations hold to the grievance deadlines, we now will.
Chair Wansley, another important part of this contract is compensation. And this contract represents competitive pay for our officers and for the future of the Minneapolis Police Department. This is going to be a historic boost in the pay for officers, 21.7% over the 3 years. It does help move us into the upper categories of other metro police departments in the state of Minnesota and will make us highly competitive to attract as well as retain officers going forward. The back pay estimate, because we're out of contract, from January 2023 to May 2024 is $5.5 million. The impact to the 2025 budget is an increase of a little over $9 million in salary and fringe. Other economic adjustments include increased field training officer pay, increased standby compensation provisions, as well as temporary extensions of officers' use of vacation and overtime premiums, night shift changes, and lateral hiring changes. I do want to note, you will see the increase in the box there on the slide in terms of what the agreed upon increases are. I want to note for the public, because there's been a lot of discussion about this, the city does, even when a union contract is out of term, we have continued to plan for a settled and agreed upon contract. And so in this case, in 2023 and 2024, 2.5% was put aside each of those years to the charter number of officers. That amount helps us and helps MPD in their budget take care of the back pay portion of this contract. Going forward, the variances are, as I mentioned, the 2025 impact, the variance from plan is a little over $9 million. And in 2026, the variance from plan is just slightly $10 million, $10.5 million. And so that concludes my portion of the presentation. The CAO is going to come up one more time here, and then we, of course, will stand for questions.
Madam Chair, council members, as you can see, the union and the city were able to negotiate changes to the labor agreement that will give management greater ability to run the department to meet the needs of the community. Some of those changes were through adding things to the contract, like the zipper clause, for example, but others of them were actually through taking things out of the contract, like removing the requirement to automatically notify officers of the identity of data requesters. We've gotten questions about why we haven't negotiated more reforms into the labor agreement. But the best framework for reform is not to put things more into the labor agreement, but instead to address them in places that don't require negotiation with the union. The Public Employment Labor Relations Act, PELRA, recognizes the idea of inherent managerial authority, the authority of the employer to adopt employment policy concerning the direction of personnel. These policies do not have to be bargained with the union, but if the employer does bargain them with the union, then they're in the contract and the employer loses the ability to just change them on their own without negotiating those changes with a labor union or giving the union the ability to challenge them. So for example, if we negotiated the discipline matrix into the contract, then if we needed to elevate any infractions based on evolving standards of care or problems that we're seeing in the field, we could not do that without the union agreeing to the change. As you know, we have a settlement agreement with the Minnesota Department of Human Rights, and we will have a consent decree with the Department of Justice. A settlement agreement or consent decree generally cannot override the terms of a negotiated labor agreement, though. So the more things that we put into the labor contract that we don't have to have in the labor contract, the fewer things can be subject to reform through the processes like the MDHR agreement or a DOJ consent decree. So the labor contract is generally not the place to put reforms. Putting reforms into the contract would give the union control over our reform efforts. Instead, we were able to negotiate significant reforms in the MDHR settlement agreement because they all involve changes to inherent managerial policy. That means that we were able to agree with MDHR without having to get the union's permission, and we will be able to agree to additional reforms with the Department of Justice because we have not negotiated away our ability to do so by negotiating things that are a part of our inherent managerial policy authority into the labor contract. It is MDHR and DOJ that enforces reform, not the union. To show compliance with the settlement agreement, the city and MPD must demonstrate that they have incorporated the requirements of the settlement agreement into policy, trained employees on the requirements, and held employees accountable for carrying out the requirements in practice. The independent evaluator, we know ALIFA, their role is to evaluate and report publicly on the city's and MPD's compliance with the reforms of the settlement agreement, as well as to move the city and MPD into compliance. No changes in the labor agreement were required to enable the city and MPD to comply with the requirements of the MDHR settlement agreement. And none of the changes that we negotiated into the new labor contract interfere with the city's and MPD's ability to comply with the MDHR settlement agreement. I am aware that Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract has made several recommendations. The city has addressed or is in the process of addressing the majority of them, sometimes through changes found in the tentative agreement, but most of them actually through policy or procedure change or changes resulting or that will result from the MDHR settlement agreement. And there is a chart, I think, before you and filed in the LIMS file explaining, based on each recommendation, how we have addressed or are in the process of addressing those things. So, thank you.
So you all are done? Yes. Usually I wait for and this concludes our presentation.
Madam Chair, I was going to do that, but I do want to thank one other group of people who are not in the room tonight, and that is the state's Bureau of Mediation Services. When this contract negotiation moved from the public phase to confidential mediation, the assistance of the Bureau of Mediation Services, as well as the mediator who worked with these teams, should be applauded. They worked very hard. They helped everyone get to this tentative agreement, and I just want to publicly thank the state of Minnesota for that service that they continue to provide. That concludes my presentation.
Thank you so much, staff. So we will transition into the discussion portion of our agenda on this item, and I will note for the record that we've also been joined by Council President Payne. Yep, I believe that's all. So in light of that, colleagues, we will once again be using speaker management, so that will help me manage queue. Regardless of if you're on AO or not, you should have access to it, and if you don't, please alert the clerks. To make sure that we are able to get through questions from all of you, as well as receive all public comment from testifiers who have signed up. I will do a time check around 7 p.m. to get a sense of how many questions we still have before moving on to the presentation from Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract in public comment. Also, I want to flag too, any unanswered questions can be submitted to myself or the clerks directly, and then staff through our staff memo process will have the opportunity to follow up and answer those. So that's another option as well before taking, additional comments on this at the Monday, July 8th meeting. So with that, I will check the queue. As of now, I see Councilmember Cashman first, and then Vice Chair Palmisano on deck.
Thank you, Chair Wansley. Thank you, CO Anderson Kelleher. Thank you, City Attorney Anderson. I just have a couple of clarifying questions to start off. I understand that for many who are listening, it's probably a lot to digest. And for me as well, there are a lot of technical terms here. And one of the technical terms I was hoping you could explain, Attorney Anderson, is grievances and the new deadline for grievances. And then the second question I have is around let's start there. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Council Member, a grievance is actually, it's defined in the contract itself, and it's essentially a dispute about the application or interpretation of the labor agreement itself. So it's not about, lawsuits, not about complaints. It's about basically a dispute between the city and the union about how how either one of the party, frankly, there could be a grievance made by the city against the union, although that's rare, but about how the city is interpreting or applying the terms of the collective bargaining agreement. Oftentimes, these are discipline grievances. That's a very, very typical thing. And in fact, PELRA, that statute I talked about, requires us to have a grievance process that ends in arbitration for written discipline grievances. But it could also be things like, we should have paid overtime at a certain rate and we didn't. So it's really any dispute about the interpretation or application of the terms of the contract. In terms of the deadlines, the grievance procedure, it's very well laid out in the contract itself, but it has certain deadlines for when a grievance can be filed. I think that the first deadline I think it's 21 days, but set out in the agreement to file what's called a first step grievance, and that goes to the commander level. There are some types of grievances that skip step 1 and just go right to step 2, and step 2 is the chief. And if it's not resolved at step 1 or step 2, then whoever grievance it is can actually file for arbitration, and then we're off to the races at the Bureau of Mediation Services. And at each step, there is a deadline for filing that step of the grievance, and potentially even a deadline for the employer response to the grievance. But all of those deadlines are set forth in the grievance procedure in the contract itself, and that repudiation thing that I talked about was really about, in the past, there may have been times that we didn't necessarily hold the union to comply with the 21-day grievance deadline, if it's 21 days, something close to that. So the letter of repudiation is essentially to say, maybe in the past we haven't held to those deadlines, but starting now and going forward, we're gonna actually make sure that all of grievances are timely, and if they're not timely, then they're just gonna be denied.
Thank you for that explanation. My second question is about slide 7, civilian investigators. This, for me, is one of the top reforms that's been included in this agreement, allowing us to hire civilian investigators to boost our capacity of investigators, because so often victims of crimes are not receiving the level of service that they deserve in terms of getting their questions answered on who did this, when, where, why, and how are they going to be charged, and how will that case proceed. So can you give me a sense of what we have right now in terms of civilian investigators? I believe it's somewhere between 8 and 11 that we currently have on staff, and how this contract will change their right to work in the department.
Madam Chair, Madam Council Member, so I'm hearing from my friends in the background that we currently have 14 civilian investigators, and again, this LOA deals with the non-sworn criminal investigators. That letter of repudiation that we talked about lets us go forward with civilians for background check and misconduct investigators, but the criminal civilian investigators, there's 14 of them, and under this letter of agreement, during the time period of the letter of agreement, and it's important to note this particular letter of agreement actually extends beyond the term of this contract. The contract term ends December 31st, 2025. This letter of agreement actually extends a year beyond that. And it says during that time period, we can hire permanent staff, not just temporary staff, but permanent civilian staff to do this criminal investigative work. They do have to be supervised by a sworn person. I mean, that makes sense. But we can hire civilians to do this work, again, freeing up sworn staff. So instead of having 14 sworn folks doing these investigations, we can have those sworn folks doing things that actually require that peace officer license.
Thank you. And just to clarify, that the zipper clause does not mean that the LOAs expire at the same time as the contract? It doesn't. So that deadline, the length of validity of the LOA does extend a year beyond the length of the contract itself.
Madam Chair, Madam Council Member, for this particular letter of agreement, we specifically negotiated a different term to the letter of agreement. All of the other letters of agreement, they exist for the term of the contract unless it states specifically otherwise.
Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Cashman. Next, I see Vice Chair Palmisano.
Madam Chair, I appreciate it's your intent to delay this in committee another cycle. That's not my intent, and that's up to a vote tonight at the end of this meeting. So I just wanted that to be clear because we're speaking as though that decision has already been made. It is my hope that after hearing public comment, we will be ready to finally move forward to a vote. But because there are a number of people here to opine about this contract, it's maybe more appropriate, as said earlier, for a future contract. And can you just clarify from what you've said tonight, I believe that's in 10 months that we'll start negotiating the next labor agreement for the Police Federation. Is that accurate?
Chair Wansley, Vice Chair Palmisano, that is correct. We will be back into negotiations in 10 months. And of course, preparations for negotiations start well before we are actually negotiating.
Thank you. That's all my questions.
All right. Next, we have Councilmember Vita in queue.
Thank you, Chair. Just a couple quick questions. The first one is, do we still have the ability to use LOAs as tools?
Madam Chair, Madam Council Member, yes, we do. It's very typical in labor practice too. I mean, the essential, the reason for the LOA is that sometimes during the term of a contract, things come up that were not anticipated. So yes, we will still have the ability to enter new LOAs with the union, but again, unless we specifically negotiate for a term beyond the term of the agreement, the intent would be that those would end with the new agreement.
Thank you. And my last question is, so I was always concerned with where we landed on the pay scale for our officers. And so I'm just wondering where we rank now. I know when I last looked at it, we were about like 10 or 11. So with this raise over the term of this contract, where do we land with other departments throughout the state?
Chair Wansley, Councilmember Vita, I'm going to say this, it's complicated. And why is it complicated? It's complicated because each level of police officer and the effect of the contract on them in terms of their rank can make a difference here. But overall, the prediction is over the 30 years of an officer's life in the city, that we do achieve a top 5 ranking for many of our officers. Maybe not everyone, but certainly top 10, I think, is very clearly where we're going to land with this, but top 5 for many of our officers. And we can get you the detail. It's just, I will say that when we thought about putting it up here on the slide, it has to do with the calculations of length of service, a number of different things, and it's not just straightforward as you might expect. Our goal, I believe, is to stay in that area and continue to be in the top 5, especially for our officers entering service.
I understand the answer, but I really hope that you all could show me, like,
Sure.
where I've seen lists where we're 10, 11. So, like, I need to see where we are, if we've moved up, if we've moved down, like, what is happening. That's important to me, and that's really important to recruitment and retention, as you all said. So I would like to see what this 3-year contract is doing for us as far as moving up the pay scale for overall departments.
So, Madam Chair, if I could, maybe I can rejoin you after the next presentation and be able to either put that up on the slide or at least give it to you orally tonight after the next presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Vita. I'm just double checking the queue. I see Council Vice President Chuck Tai. I'll go after folks to allow maximum time for committee members. So Council Vice President, please feel free to go forward.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question was actually just a follow-up on what Councilmember Vita asked, and then the commitment, CO Anderson Keller, to pull up that information around where we rank in terms of officer pay. I think it would be really helpful in pulling that information also, just if possible, to look at both where we rank in terms of base pay, but also like total pay in our state. If that's, is that something you can include in that information?
Madam Chair and Council VP, I'm not sure that we can produce tonight the data in terms of the entire state. I know that what we've been benchmarking against is other metro police departments, and I am not sure if it can go, at least the information we have goes beyond total pay. So meaning everything from benefits to, and when I hear that, that's what I'm reading, and I'm not sure that we have that. What we have is how the base pay for each officer is calculated and would look under this contract.
First, certainly it was not my intention to ask you to pull that tonight. I meant when you come back after the next public comment period and potentially, you know, so that we can share that information with members of the public. And when I meant total pay, I wasn't talking about the additional benefits, the full cost of a position. I meant more like take-home pay, so base pay plus overtime, right? So how do you? And I asked the question because I think it's an important factor in understanding retention of existing officers and what type of, you know, how their take-home pay today compares to other metro areas.
Madam Chair and Council VP, I think what you are going to hear from HR is it's very, very difficult to calculate future overtime dollar amounts because they are not always the same, of course, from year to year, from department to department. So I believe that what you're going to see from me is you're going to see that base pay number. Going forward, we really don't know on any sort of overtime what people will do.
Understood. Thank you.
Those are all the questions, Council Vice President? Great. Just checking the queue again. I don't see anyone else, so I will proceed and, of course, encourage my colleagues to get in queue if you have any questions. The first is, as you mentioned in the presentation, you know, removing the 70-30 ratio was even one of my own non-negotiables that I submitted to staff and specifically the administration for this upcoming contract. So I was super excited to see the suspension of 70-30 and specifically that it was integrated into a 2-year letter of agreement, but that's actually the component that makes me most concerned of it's a temporary measure, as you highlighted. While it extends an additional year beyond the rest of the LOA, you know, deadlines, this does bring into perspective of how much bang are we getting for our buck. So, you know, this question would likely be for Chief O'Hara, who I see is in the crowd. If we can have you come forward. Thank you, Chief. So related to 70-30, I would love to hear from you in terms of if you speaking to how this LOA, also known as Attachment J, will help MPD and the benefits it will have for the public.
Okay, excuse me, Joe. Attachment J is which one?
It's the second.
I know there's two different provisions. Thank you, Chair. Just trying to clarify because I think there's actually two different changes that affect 70-30, so I just want to make sure I'm speaking to the correct one that you're asking me. I'm sorry?
The one that would
I
give her
believe that's J.
70% ratio
Ratios
for the
patrol.
decided.
Yep. Okay. So this is the portion that suspends the 70% ratio for patrol. And if I'm correct, yes, it also takes away the ratios required among sworn members based on rank. So how this affects going forward, for example, there's a requirement under that section that we have a certain percentage of sergeants, regardless of whether or not we actually have a supervisory vacancy. The way the department is structured, we rely almost exclusively, until now we have civilian investigators being brought in, we rely almost exclusively on sergeants to perform investigations. So this removes the requirement to promote sergeants simply based on numbers and based on the percentage in the contract, which is significant because every time you promote a police officer to sergeant, that's one less cop on the street. So in addition to what was mentioned there, I do believe that is a very significant change. Additionally, it is, just frankly, it is very difficult to staff the precincts as it is, and that is certainly a priority. But this removes the number of positions in precincts or suspends the percentage of positions assigned to precincts that are mandatorily by that bidding process, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes. So a lot of that flexibility that I've heard as being a key priority in terms of staffing. What I would love to hear, and maybe this is also CAO's perspective, might be important here, is again the fact that it will sunset in December 2026, but yet the cost that we're paying for will be ongoing. So I'm very much interested in terms of, why we weren't able to make this be a permanent addition to the contract as opposed to a temporary LOA, which again, we're going to have a permanent cost for something that's temporary.
Chair, I'll pass it off because I wasn't a part of that, but I just want to clarify if I didn't do a good job of explaining it. I think this is best understood with some of the other provisions that we're also making. So that that necessity on promoting a certain number of sergeants works well along with the ability to hire more civilians as investigators, if that makes sense.
Chair Wansley, council members, I also was not at negotiations, so I have sort of limited ability to say specifically, but what I can say is our negotiation team negotiated as hard as we could for to the extent that we could, and the fact that we were able to get this and get it to exist beyond the term of the agreement does not mean that we won't try in the next round of bargaining to get either a longer or a more permanent change. But I think being able to have this flexibility absolutely between now and December 31st, 2026, no questions asked, is a real benefit.
Thank you. And I would just raise again for colleagues, again, one of my non-negotiables was excited to see this. My concern is in 2026, when this comes up for expiration, we still have a permanent dollar amount that we will be responsible for, and let's say it doesn't make it into another LOA or into the contract itself, we're still stuck with that price. But I will move on to my next question, which is actually related to the investigators, specifically the attachment G. So if staff could speak to the implications of what may happen to this particular agreement when it comes for expiration, and let's say in the case that the city has hired more civilian investigators as well as hired or promoted officers to ranks outside of patrol, essentially what will happen once this expires? Like, will they be demoted or laid off? Because then we will have to comply with that 70-30 ratio that is baked into the contract.
Chair Wansley, council members, this allows for us to make permanent hires of those folks to do criminal investigative work. So that they're permanent staff. Okay. So once the LOA expires, we won't be able to hire new permanent civilian staff to do that investigative work. But the employees that we have are permanent employees, and will continue to do that work.
Awesome. And then you also touched on a bit of this too, CAO Anderson, in terms of this particular LOA related to investigators, specifically civilian investigators. And if you could just give some insights. I know in the LOA it spells out what they can't do, but can you talk about the realm of work that they would be permitted to do under this LOA?
I'm maybe going to defer to the chief because he oversees this kind of work.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chair. They're incredibly valuable as criminal investigators, and their worth increases as time goes on. That being said, I kind of just there's a couple different categories that the plan is to utilize civilian investigators for. We're talking specifically around criminal investigations. So just starting with that, as you know, the department is 40% below the capacity of what had been normal, if you will, prior to 2020. At the same time, that's not uniformly distributed across the department. So investigations has suffered more than 50%. So the staffing level is half, sworn staffing level is half dedicated to investigations at what had been normal in the past, at a time where there, in some cases, particularly around gun violence, shootings, the caseload is so much greater than what had been typical in the past. So the value that civilian investigators add is they are able to do things that you do not need a sworn member to do, but are very time consuming. And the people that we have hired have proven very capable and very valuable to that process, including to being able to put together murder cases. They're able to sit there and go through what at times is literally hours and hours and hours of video, surveillance video, tracking suspects, putting things together, even the work that the sworn member is doing with statements and so on, putting that all together into a presentation to then present to the county attorney's office for charging decisions. So it is a lot of time-consuming work. And they've done really, really well at that. Additionally, the plan for the future is to include them not just in criminal investigations, but also to help us with other investigations required under the umbrella of internal affairs. There is, as I'm sure you all well know, both components of city government that are responsible for investigating complaints against police officers are overwhelmed with caseload. Our ability to hire civilians to assist in that process will help us reduce the caseload and get to the goal not just of MDHR, but really where we should be, where both the community wants us and the cops want us as well, being able to investigate and dispose of cases faster. Additionally, the plan for the future would be to have, as a component of internal affairs, to have a dedicated force investigations team, which would largely be composed of civilians, both to review every use of force incident that occurs to ensure that it's in compliance with policy, but also to review the supervisor's actions and review of those. So I could go on and on and on, but we really, really need the civilian investigators, and the ones that we have are incredibly valuable. So I'm thankful with this that they have some sense of stability and security, because they deserve to be permanent employees with benefits and vacation time and all that, the same as the rest of ours.
Thank you, Chief. My next question is related to slide 12 in terms of the competitive or the economics where where it's laid out in terms of increased FTO pay. This is actually related to the field training officers. So I know that there has been significant public attention on MPD's policies around field training officers, and many folks are aware that Derek Chauvin was a field officer despite multiple complaints of serious misconduct. I know that there was also promises made by MPD to, especially I remember former interim Chief Huffman in particular mentioned that they would enact policy changes to prevent, Derek Chauvin from being able to be promoted into these type of positions and having these training responsibilities. But I didn't see any language in the contract that really defines who is or who is not eligible for the field training position. I just saw the pay increase. So could you or any anyone from staff be able to speak to the written guidelines or policies that clearly explain what behavior or conduct disqualifies an officer from becoming a field training officer?
Chair Wansley, so I'm going to in part answer your question. So this is one of the areas that the MDHR settlement agreement actually gives us lots and lots of requirements about the minimum qualifications for someone to be a field training officer, the minimum amount of special training that field training officers will have to have, and the independent evaluator will actually be reviewing all of the above, including our entire FTO program. And there are requirements, for example, in the settlement agreement that there's going to be feedback and surveys by the trainees themselves giving us feedback about the quality of the FTOs that are training them. So this is, again, an area that's very regulated under the settlement agreement. And then I'll turn it over to the chief to answer more specifics.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Chair. So as the city attorney was saying, there's requirements regarding policy that the MPD has to implement consistent with the MDHR agreement, as well as training. So I believe there's 40 additional hours of training for every new training that is in the process of being implemented for everyone who would be potentially a field training officer. And both that training would have to be observed by and approved by the MDHR as well as the independent evaluator, as well as the policy around that beforehand. That being said, there currently is, I believe there is guideline in the IA manual, but I know there's a number of officers who had previously been field training officers, and they are paused from the ability to participate in this program whenever there is even an allegation of serious misconduct, which has been a source of contention that's come up numerous times from members because, you know, as I just referenced before, these investigations internally take a significant amount of time. But I can get you, I'm just not sure of the list offhand. I can provide the list of specifically what. Yep.
Yeah, and that would be helpful because I've heard multiple times now COO specifically, Anderson, Kelleher, and I believe even CAO mentioned the reform piece, and there being significant reforms included. And I will say it's been difficult on my end to map out what are the actual reforms that's in the contract itself. I get you've spoken to the consent decree, but it would be great to get a sense of what those actual reforms are in the contract. I don't necessarily see LOAs as being reforms, staffing flexibilities, or at least what the public perceives to be a reform. I do believe I asked staff prior, and I know you provided this chart as it relates to the Minneapolis for a better police contract recommendations, but I did ask for a map out of all the reforms that have been enacted since the last police contract, because I think that is something that the public wants to see. If we're now switching our tune, because I know this has happened amongst this dais in terms of the discussion point of we were once told the contract was the barrier to accountability and it was the place for reform. And we have the administration is basically changed their tune on that. So it would be good to know where are all these reforms that have been enacted. And I believe that deserves more than just one slide that was included in here. So it would be great if that could be prepared for the next presentation and follow up on the staff question. And then my last question is actually also still related to the competitive pay. So this highlighted that MPD as a result of this package, would have the highest starting salary than any other major, city. This means higher than cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles. So I just want to make sure and understand if these raises are in alignment with how workers are being paid and how the pay increases are being rolled out throughout the city enterprise. So I just want to make sure, is MPD the only city department that would be setting the highest starting pay nationally relative to their counterparts, or are there other departments that also has that?
Thank you, Chair. I'll start off and I'll pass it to the COO. I know that the base pay is not the highest in the metro, and we would not be the highest of other cities in the United States. I have no idea where we would fall with other cities across the country, unless we kind of maybe defined it a little bit kind of narrow, just because there's so many. But I know the base pay is not the highest in the state. I don't know where the top pay would be, but certainly I believe it would be among the highest.
I see COO.
Chair Wansley, and thank you to the chief. I do have some information for you that answers Councilmember Vita's question as well, which partially answers your question, I believe. So if you look at where our police officers are in 2023, right now they would rank 7th in the metro area, and their 30-year earnings, so that's what we measure this against. I want to be very clear. If their 30-year earnings in this year, 2023, would put us at 9th in the metro area, metro police departments. Sergeants this year, 2023, rank 14th in the metro area. Year 30 wages puts them at 12th. Lieutenants would rank 8th today, if hired today. They then would go to 10th. So how does this contract make a difference? That's your question. So here we go. In 2024, a police officer hired into Minneapolis will rank 4th in the metro area. Over the 30 years of earnings, they would rank 1st. The sergeant level would be 4th and would move at that 30-year ranking to number 2. And then lieutenants, year 1, 5th, and then over the 30 years, 2nd. So you might wonder, who are our competition, right? So who are our competition in this question? And I will tell you who is still ranking above us. You asked for information, and this team is an amazing group of people. I have lots of information
I don't
very
think
quickly.
this council dislikes getting information whatsoever. We're a fan of TMI, yes.
So who's ranking above us in this case? And sorry, I have a lot here. I believe that still for an officer coming into service, the rankings include Blaine, Minnetonka, and I think I'm missing one. Maple Grove? Okay. So I hope that answers the question. We firmly move into the top 5. In some cases, over that 30 years of earning, we would move, the officer would be in the number 1 position.
Did you want to get in queue, Councilmember Vita?
Oh, sure.
Okay, and then you're fine if we come back to you, I get through the rest of the queue? All right. I'll just finish with my last question just for clarification, since this is the first time that we're also seeing the back pay estimate. So essentially with the levy impact, are we looking at a range of, it seems like if we do addition of those two, around $14 or $15 million total? Basically, how does this relate to the total package of the cost for this?
So, Madam Chair, actually, that $5.5 million is accounted for in current dollars.
Okay.
So that does not hit the levy, and that's because of the wise financial planning of the city to always account for some sort of increase in wages. It's been 2.5% in 2023, 2.5%. That's our planning estimate. There's also some additional savings that are still there that will come out of the MPD budget to pay for back pay. So that is status quo in many ways. It does not hit the levy because it is back pay.
Great, so we're just looking at the $9 million or 9.1 as it relates to the levy.
Madam Chair, the variance from what was planned for 2025 is $9.1 million above the planning estimate.
Okay. I will pause there and then move through the rest of the queue. I see Council President Payne next. And then also I'll recognize Councilmember Koski, who has joined, which Councilmember Koski, if you have any questions, we are using speaker management if you would like to get in queue.
Thank you, Chair Wansley, and thank you for making such a welcoming space, not just for us non-members, but for the members of the public. I'm really grateful for that. I have a question about the civilian investigators, and I'm going to ground this question in the comprehensive staffing study that we got early 2022, which looked at about 5 years of 911 call records and did a deep analysis of the problem nature code, so bank robbery versus cat in a tree. And based on that comprehensive analysis, estimating response times, how many calls for service you'd have to do on a shift and so on, and even down to the single officer car versus dual officer car. Based on different staffing models, they estimated about specifically 278 police officers necessary on the low end to meet the calls for service, and 416 on the high end, again, depending on the staffing model. And this was also taking into account the removal of those problem nature codes that could alternatively be responded to somebody other than a sworn officer. And so my question is, how specific or restrictive is the inclusion of civilians in the department? Are they narrowly defined in terms of criminal investigations versus, some of the internal affairs investigations, or can we start having civilians take up? Will the contract be a barrier to civilian roles in other spaces?
Chair Wansley, Council President, I think maybe you weren't here for my great treatise on labor law repudiation. So the answer to your question is no, we are not limited to using civilians just for criminal investigations. We can use them for misconduct investigations, and we can use them for background check investigations. We did the criminal investigations through a letter of agreement, but we got to the place of the background and the misconduct through basically saying, we had this practice of using only sworn people, and we're stopping that practice going forward through this repudiation letter. So we can use it for all three types of investigations.
Well, I'm asking, can we use civilians for other administrative roles outside of investigations? So as an example, back in 2019, 2020, before I was on city council, our team did our version of that comprehensive analysis. We didn't have 5 million call records available to us to go as in depth as the outside firm that we hired, but we did do a survey of all departments and identified 10 problem nature codes that could be responded to by other departments. Most of those were not first responses, right? And one of the proposals that was brought forward was leveraging either our navigators or even members of our regulatory services inspectors to, if your garage got broken into, go, take pictures, give you the police report that you needed for your insurance, and, could potentially have a sworn officer follow up on that, but they were just helping shift that workload from a sworn officer to a civilian. And so I'm just curious, does this contract either explicitly permit or explicitly forbid these types of civilianization efforts?
Chair Wansley, Council President, I think the answer is that the contract itself is really silent about that. It really goes to the question of what is bargaining unit work and what is not bargaining unit work. And so, the lawyer answer is it depends on what. But we have examples of civilianization of many different roles, kind of all over the city and in response as well. So there's nothing explicit in the contract in I would say in either direction beyond what the definition of the bargaining unit is, which is something that's actually the Bureau of Mediation Services defines.
That's helpful because the thing I'm really concerned about, we could give a 50% raise, we could give a 100% raise. I'm sure there's some number that you would start really seeing our numbers tick up, but I think the chief has said this before, we have over 100 people that are eligible today to retire. A wildly successful recruitment year would be 100 officers. We're just kind of in this we need to shift that work somewhere. And I think that we might, in the short term, be able to fill a lot of these roles and unburden sworn so that they can have the time that they need to respond to the types of calls that they can only respond to. And then over the long term, maybe we could have a more healthy mix so that we're, Chief, I have to follow up with you. I got an email from a constituent this morning. Their daughter was assaulted. They have video evidence. They have not heard back on the investigation, and it's just this kind of black box. And I think that's not unique. I think there's a lot of people, and it can be something as small as a garage break-in or as bad as your daughter getting assaulted, where they just don't hear from us for a long time. And I'm just really hoping that we can start closing those gaps when it comes to these investigations. So I'm sure there's going to be more to discuss about civilianization outside of investigations, but I want to stay engaged in that conversation.
Is that all, Council President Payne?
Yeah, I want to leave most of the conversation to the actual members of this committee.
You're more than welcome to engage too. We're here till 9 o'clock. I'm just saying.
If they turn the air on, I can make it.
Clerks, I will ask. Usually I'm too cold in here, so we're having to arrange if we could do something about the air. We don't want anyone passing out from heat. So thank you. Next, I will pass it to Councilmember Ellison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I do recall early in my first term, the clerk said that when the room gets hot, folks who are giving testimony get angrier. So, hopefully we can get the air on as quickly as possible. I wanted to talk a little bit, if we can, about the LOAs and MOAs, just not any of the particular ones, because I think I understand them all. And I want to thank staff, not only our team who negotiated this, but I want to thank you all for your briefings, your diligence in answering a lot of questions. And I've got some follow-ups. I certainly have some follow-up questions, even offline, but. In one of our discussions, we talked about how past LOAs sometimes did not have expiration dates at all attached to them, and they just sort of rolled over one contract to the next, and a lot of those provisions would be things that would be very frustrating to us as we tried to enact the contract, and I'm looking at. At least by my estimation, a lot of the things that the public and that the council said were huge priorities, and they're in the form of LOAs and MOAs, and that's very encouraging, right? But they expire, in a year and a half, maybe 2 years, and we're looking at these pay increases that are going to set a new floor, and when it comes to our managerial authority, when it comes to civilianization, we might not be setting a floor, right? The pay is not going to revert back to the old contract right at the end of this one. It's going to stay this one, even if the contract takes a while to get negotiated. And so I just kind of wanted to maybe get your opinion, City Attorney Anderson, on what we can expect and what the public can expect from the MOAs and LOAs, because I think a lot of our faith in some of the changes that have been made are riding on that, but that faith can feel a little hollow if those things are going to end in less than 2 years.
Madam Chair, Councilmember Ellison. So let me take the civilian criminal investigators as an example. The city and the union don't actually agree whether the city can permanently hire civilian criminal investigators, but for the LOA, right? We actually think we have a good argument that we have the authority already to hire those folks permanently to do criminal investigations. The union disagrees, but instead of battling it out on a potential unfair labor practice claim, we entered into an LOA, and so we have bought labor peace in that area until December 31st, 2026, and maybe after that we'll just all agree, and that will be the end of the story. But in no way have either party waived their fundamental, foundational position, and the city has not waived its position that actually we do have the authority to hire those folks regardless of the LOA. 70/30 is different. Absolutely, 70/30 was a provision in the contract, and we've negotiated to change to that for a specific period of time. Again, my great hope, one of the things that are really nice about an LOA is that it gives you a period of time to do a pilot program, basically. And my great hope is that what this pilot program on 70/30 is going to show is that the chief has the discretion that he needs, with the flexibility that he needs, and the employees will see that it actually works out just fine for them too. I mean, that's the ideal, right? That we do these experiments and they actually work out, and then at the next contract negotiation, we wind up deciding, actually this should be the status quo. That's the hope.
Thank you very much, and that's my understanding. But that's my understanding, and there's really no but about it. And I appreciate this explanation, and to the extent that we're able to have this conversation in the public forum, because I know we did discuss it elsewhere as well. I want to acknowledge that, given the history with this department, its relationship with the communities that we represent, that is a huge leap of faith, right? It's a huge leap of faith to sort of presume that this rollover is going to occur, and I agree that in normal circumstances this rollover would occur, and that's not me sort of coming down one way or another, but it's just me wanting to articulate that I hope that the union leadership can appreciate. Look, excuse my language, but they're getting a hell of a payday if this passes, and what are the citizens of Minneapolis getting in return? The residents, what are they getting in return? I don't want to have a shining moment of a year and a half where, for the first time in a long time, in many decades, instead of the contract running the department, the chief actually runs the department. And I hope the public can understand that that's been the position with this contract. Your chiefs, in the past, whether you've liked them or not liked them, they haven't really been able to run the department because of this provision. I think that we need to put them in a position to. I don't want that freedom to last for only a year and a half. And especially when we look at $9 million or and then the additional cost that we don't quite understand yet, that's a really big price tag for temporary authority, and then kind of like a hope and a dream. And so, those are just some of the things that I want the public to understand. And this is really the level, we're all getting into the weeds of this contract. This is really the level at which we're talking about this contract, right? I know that we're going to have a public comment period here, and, based on past experience, especially with something as technical as this, I know that a lot of the testimony is going to boil down to, we need this or we don't need this. Those sentiments, with all due respect, they don't matter to me. I'm worried about the details, right? I'm worried about the weeds of this thing, because that's going to be what ultimately matters when it comes to having a department that the chief can actually run without a lot of interference, without a lot of hamstringing, right? This is what's going to matter. And as much as we don't want to have to think of this as as almost a purchase. Given where the history and where trust levels are, we're essentially paying X amount for X authority, right? It's kind of a purchase. I hate that it has to be that transactional, but that's just sort of the state of things here. That's more of a comment than a question, and I do want to emphasize that this is the most encouraged I've been, not to disparage past negotiation teams, but this is the most encouraged I've been about a contract, and yet I do want to express, as you've heard, a little bit of skepticism about the permanence of what we've earned here versus the permanence of the pay increases that we're going to see. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellison. We just have one left in queue, and that's Councilmember Vita.
Thank you, Chair. First, I just want to say the people in the overflow room are hot too, so they need some circulation. I know they probably really angry, so get it blasting. And I just wanted to go back to thank you so much, COO, for answering my questions about pay scale. I just wanted you to clarify for the public record that is if we pass this, if this contract passes, that's the ranking we'll be at.
Chair Wansley, Councilmember Vita, correct. We cannot be at those rankings unless this contract is approved by all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Okay, let me check the queue, make sure. All right, there's no one left in queue. So with that, I will ask the clerks to file that presentation. Thank you so much, staff. Next, I will now invite up Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract to get their presentation situated on the proposed collective bargaining agreement with the Police Officers Federation. I will also invite the presenters to come up and introduce themselves to begin their presentation. And just for colleagues, after this presentation, since I know it's hot, we're going to have people think we don't pay our AC bills around here, and we don't want that. So I'll give a 5-minute recess, and then we'll come back and take up the public comment period, which I will ask again, if you haven't, if there's folks outside. I'm sorry, y'all. Sorry. If you have not signed up and testified, please do so with the clerks, and we will get you all situated for the public comment period.
Are you guys going to put our PowerPoint up?
No, it's on.
It should be up. Yep, it's up there.
We just don't know how to put it up from this screen.
Okay, hold on. How do we?
Michael's coming down to save.
Someone help. No, this is this one.
Yeah, that's not it.
So this is not Lo Siento. Close it. All right. Oh, this one? All right, thank you.
There you go.
Awesome. All right, colleagues, we're about to get started with the next presentation. Thank you so much. Please introduce yourself.
Yes. Chair Wansley, Vice Chair Palmisano.
sorry.
Wait, hold on.
One moment.
Oh, not yet?
Sorry,
They're
I
doing
don't know how to
full
do full
screen.
screen. I'm really sorry. I didn't. Yeah, but I don't know how to do the full screen. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Are you going to be driving this one?
Yes, I just pressed it.
All right. I believe we're ready to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Chair Wansley, Vice Chair Palmisano, members of the AEO Committee, and other council members. I am Stacy Gurian-Sherman, co-founder and a steering committee member of Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract. I am also a commissioner on the Community Commission on Police Oversight, and obviously am not here in that capacity, but it does give me some unique perspectives on the contract, and especially on discipline. I'm here with my colleague, Kimberly Millard, who is with the Racial Justice Network, also a co-founder and a member of the Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract Steering Committee. She will be accompanying me to change the slide, help me to understand any of your questions, because as you just got a taste of, I have a hearing impairment and I don't always catch everything. And Kimberly will also be here to help answer any questions at the end of my presentation. So we are going to start on slide number 4, Community Involvement Imperative. Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract is incredibly grateful to you, Chair Wansley, to council leadership, to others on the City Council who have opened up the presentations for this contract and have opened up public comment. It once again shows a real appreciation for public insights and expertise. And we also want to thank all of the council members who have withheld how they will vote on the contract until they hear the public presentations tonight and on July 8th, and also the public comments. It really shows that you are...
Stacy, if you could move to the... Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There we go.
It really shows that you are taking into account the MDHR consent decrees, which, after all, are not just to remedy problems, but to bring solutions and models for how we carry on after the consent decree is over. And meaningful community involvement is imperative to MPD and accountability and transparency, and that includes the contract. I also just want to say thank you to everyone in this room, everyone in the overflow room who's watching live stream and will watch on YouTube, we are not all going to agree about this tentative agreement, but we all are making democracy work, and I know we all appreciate that. Before I go on, I just want to take a minute to set the record straight about the public transparency that started this process back in the fall. We heard a lot about how there were listening sessions. Unfortunately, what you didn't hear is the report that came out for that was one of the most amateur, unprofessional reports I've ever seen. And if you've looked at it, you will see it is nothing more than a verbatim transcript of large sticky sheets that were put up right before the former Director of Labor Relationships hightailed it out to go to Hennepin County. So I'm not sure how the city finds guidance in that particular report, because there was a lot of things said, but there was absolutely no professional analysis. You also weren't told that back in the fall, Minneapolis for a Better Police contract, for 7 weeks, tried to meet with the Director of Labor Relations to talk about our recommendations. We were told time and again at the 5 public sessions, it was just a matter of getting a schedule. After 7 weeks, we were abruptly shut down and told, you were heard. And if you just look at the city's first proposals, you will see your recommendations have been passed across the table. Well, for those of you who know me, you know I will take on a challenge to study. I went through every one of the proposals and found that only 2 of our recommendations had made it across the table. One was really only half, and I'll get to that. So I don't know how you feel about a standard of 20 out of 22 ideas being shut down. Is that what the city considers you've been heard? I certainly hope it's going to be a higher standard tonight and over the next few weeks as we talk to you about our ideas. The city touted the transparency of having a website. I love it. I was able to go and for 5 sessions get the Police Federation proposals, the city proposals, but after 5 meager sessions, public negotiations was abruptly shut off. I'm from Detroit. If you drive a car for 5,000 miles, you're considered just breaking it in. 5 sessions, that you're barely getting started. What the city didn't tell you is that the Police Federation, after 8 of you voted down the up to $18,000 per officer incentives, filed for mediation behind closed doors. And the city went right along with it. And it was all a pretext to shut the public down from seeing the process. Why? Because with many of you, we led the charge against those incentives that were simply not balanced. There were the mediation sessions were touted. Well, that's interesting because they were all done behind closed doors. But if you read the Public Employment Labor Relations Act, you will see the presumption for negotiations and mediations is that they are public hearings. They are open to the public. Council President Payne, Council Vice President Chugtai sent a letter to the Bureau of Mediation Services, pushing them, requesting them to open up mediations. What do you have to lose in having the public watch you? And yet that was turned down. Both the city and the Police Federation wanted to go behind closed doors for 6 months. So we don't know which one of our recommendations made it into a proposal, was a starting point for discussion. I can't give you that information, and I can't go back and get it. So I just want to make sure that the record is set on why we believe in public transparency. So if you could go, Kim, to slide number 5, which is MDHR 45-day comment period. Again, I just want to say that we really appreciate and hope that this will get to a vote on July 18th. If that happens, it will be 41 days from the time the tentative agreement was released by the mayor to the time that you all vote. I'll take 41 days. That's really close to 45. And what we need to do is to enshrine 45 days as a public comment period and 3 public hearings for every police contract going forward. Because What we need to do, again, with the consent decrees is understand this is a model for going forward. The police contract is going to continue to interest people, and we all need time to influence you and to talk with you. And if you could go to slide number 6, thank you. So we formed in 2019 as a group that had a very simple but unique idea that the police contract could be a tool, not the tool, a tool for bringing about reforms to the police contract. We started with 3 organizations. As of today, we are up to 23 organizations that have fully endorsed our 22 recommendations. I'm glad to say that the mayor eventually came around to us and said that he was for going after the police union contract to achieve massive structural and transformation reform for what he rightly said was a racist system. I'm sorry it took him the torture and murder of George Floyd to come around to our pushing the contract as a tool for reform. But I'm glad that he said what he did back in June of 2020. I think it's absolutely right that we have a tool, and it is absolutely right that we have a say in that through public comments, public presentations, and scrutiny. So let's talk for a second very briefly. A contract is a simple concept: offer, acceptance, and consideration. Consideration is the exchange of value between the parties to a contract. So think about a rental agreement. I pay a landowner a certain amount of money for a safe and habitable premises. If it becomes hazardous and dilapidated, I'm not getting my consideration. So that's why we have contracts. And of course, a labor contract is wages for fair work, for safety, and a contract which is rewarding or continuing something is because there's been more production, there's been better delivery of services. In other words, there are results to show why you should get paid more. Under the law, consideration is acceptable unless it is so grossly inadequate that it shocks the conscience. I'd like you to keep that notion as I go through my presentation. When you talk about a public contract, it's really the same, except there is one added dimension. We, as the public, are not a party. We have never asked in Minneapolis for a better police contract to be at the table to get anything that we are not entitled to. We have just asked to be at the negotiations. But the public is the beneficiary of a contract between a government and a public union. Think of schools. You have the employees, the teachers, the educators, the paraprofessionals, the people who serve lunch, who drive transportation. Who are the beneficiaries? Our children. And we are their stewards, and we have a responsibility to make sure their interests are protected in a public contract. So here, we are the stewards and the beneficiaries of making sure the contract is fair to us as the public, and also to make sure that you're being fair to police officers and being fair to the city. So the concept of a beneficiary is enshrined again in PELRA, public access. Why would you have that unless the public had a sort of interest? And we are here because we have a right as voters to influence you, to make sure that our interests are represented in that contract. So if you go to number 7. So the mayor's promise to use the police union contract as a tool failed miserably 2 years ago. The contract did not have any kind of robust reforms. There was all sorts of talk 2 years ago about that, well, many of the points, many of the goals that the community wanted to see weren't in there, but we're going to look forward to this contract right now. There was talk about we cannot afford to keep passing the buck. We have got to use this contract right now. So that's what we are challenging you on about. And yet our 14 recommendations back then, not one of them got passed as a proposal, and not one of them we have no idea if it influenced anything. If you could go to number 8. Thank you. 1 month after that contract was passed, we got the first of the findings reports from the Minnesota Department of Human Rights. And they said and found evidence of exactly what Mayor Fry had said. We have a racist system, and that city leaders had not acted with urgency to improve public safety. And now we have not only one consent decree, but one that's going to be coming down the road. That lack of urgency could well be said to be the fact that we didn't pass reforms, that this council did not demand reforms in that contract. But something very significant happened 2 years ago. 5 members of the city council voted against the contract, saying there wasn't balanced reforms. And that was a shot across the bow that this city council, after decades, would no longer be a rubber stamp for the police contract. And that's why we are here today. What did the MDHR report find? Amongst many things, a paramilitary training that improperly influenced influenced officers. And then 14 months after that, we get the United States Department of Justice report. And those in the public who were critical of the previous contract for getting police higher wages but not getting accountability were vindicated. That report showed, in uncertain terms, the egregious violations that were occurring for many years: excessive force, discrimination against our black, brown, and indigenous neighbors, mistreatment of persons with mental health challenges, and inflictions of violence on protesters and the media. So where are we today? I think the way we can look at that is 3 months ago, Chief O'Hara was one of a group of experts to gather for Harper's Magazine and gave an interview. His responses were so compelling that the Star Tribune excerpted what he said and provided that to us locally. And one of the things that Chief O'Hara talked about was how incredulous he was at the trainings he had gone to. And what he said is that they were, you were trained how to perform in combat. That's paramilitary. That's exactly what we saw from the findings reports. Mm-hmm. And this is what he also said. Officers are approaching every situation like it's a dangerous encounter. They're not learning how to engage with people, especially people who are different from them, which is the root of the problem. It is a pretty difficult thing to try to change. For me, that's an admission that what was found in the MDHR and US DOJ findings is still part of MPD today. So what we can't do is expect this police department to have results as if they've been in a consent decree for a long time. That would be enormously unfair. So if we can't have results as a balanced consideration and benefit, then we must have reforms, promises that things will get better, that we see them in detail in the contract. We don't see either the city or the police federation shying away, shirking away, or making excuses. We see that they are fully engaged, fully on board, because of what they agree to in the contract. If you look at Albuquerque, they were in a similar situation where the chief of police who left and came back said that they were in a dumpster fire. Sounds kind of familiar. But if you read about Albuquerque, what you will read is that officers came back not because they were paid gargantuan wages, but because they cleaned up their act, because they committed to reforms. And that is something we have to be very much aware of. So absent results, we have to go to the robust reforms. Again, they just have to be balanced. I'm not going to go through that again. The question is, how do you measure what are robust reforms? So the first thing you have to ask is, who benefits from a particular language or no language, for good new revisions or staying the same? Are they all mutually and proportional to each party, the city, the police federation, and the public? And if they are not proportional, then is this an acceptable police contract? Where do you look for how you do that measure? Well, the first thing you do is you look at the 3 priorities that the city itself set out. Retention and hiring. Nobody's going to disagree with that in terms of that is a need. It is a priority. But 22% seems to have handled that very nicely. I don't think anybody's going to argue that you need more. The next one was accountability. We never got a definition for what that is. If you think about police work and you look at the findings reports, you're talking about discipline, at least as one form of accountability. And the third priority was mental health. And again, we didn't hear what that meant, but I'm assuming it means officer well-being and also community well-being. And then again, you can look at the slide. We can look at the key reforms that came out that are on the city's webpage now. You can look at our recommendation as a measure, and you can look at the contract as a whole in terms of changes made and not changed. So the city made quite a big to-do about this zipper clause. I don't know if this is a transformational reform, because I don't know, and I don't know if you know, because you got an 8-hour briefing, which the public did not get. Is this part of hiring and retention? Is this part of officer mental health, staffing? What MOUs in particular were the obstacle, and what was the problem? This is generalization. I can't make a determination. Without that, I can't say these are significant reforms. I'm glad they're going forward. It's a good idea, but I don't know what problems were tackled and how they're going to be solved. And the burden is on the city at this point to show that this is part of critical reform work. So the next thing that the city is touting is staffing flexibilities. And again, I have to ask, is this part of critical reform work? Absolutely. Who's not going to say that? We understand the priority is met, is it's probably retention and hiring. We could also say it's a mental health and accountability. The thing that I have, though, that is why did you stop here? If this meets your priorities, and if you go to the next slide, you will see that we offered 3 specific recommendations on staffing that are nowhere to be found in the tentative agreement. We have no idea if they were passed across the table. We have no idea if they sparked discussion. What we know is they're not there. And part of what we proposed is a truly robust commitment to gender and race and equity reform. And that was in response to the last contract, where literally what was touted as the big reform then was one sentence. The union supports the city's effort to advance race and gender equity. That was it. That was what was considered the big reform. So we went and we did research, and we found an incredibly great plan by the Parks Department, and we provided that in a lot of information, and we don't see it anywhere in the contract.
Excuse me, Ms. Gurian-Sherman, it's been about 15 minutes, and I'm just curious, how much longer were you given to present tonight?
Up to 30 minutes.
30 minutes?
Yes.
Just for the record to my colleagues, I asked these other organizations to present for up to 5.
Well, it's 30 minutes with your questions, so I don't have more than 5 or 10 minutes.
You have 5 or 10 minutes more time?
Yes. Thank you. Should I continue?
I guess so. You've been given 30 minutes to present by the chair of this committee?
Yes.
I was unaware of that, but go ahead and continue.
Do you want me to wait until the chair comes back to verify that?
Nope, that's okay. I trust you.
Thank you. So the next reform is civilian investigators. As a member of the Community Commission on Police Oversight, I certainly see the value of this. What I don't see is that it's going to allow actual community safety beyond policing. What it does is it replaces officers so that they can go out and do critical work. If you go to the next slide, we proposed a recommendation that came from the Los Angeles Police Department. The union, thank you. And it goes into hiring people to do all sorts of things that really free up officers to do the critical work, but also it creates a whole new way of community safety. What it does is it introduces people to new faces, new talents, new expertise to handle anything from public health orders to persons who are dumping trash to syringe removal, all sorts of things. And we listed them all in our recommendation. If you can have civilian investigators who are not sworn, why can't you have non-sworn people going out and doing this work? We have already started it. Why are we not seeing it as a commitment going forward in the police contract? The next is the public data request. And this is deeply disappointing. This language was put in the first contract after George Floyd was killed. And what it did is it said police officers and only police officers out of all the collective bargaining units could get automatic notice of data requests that were filed on them and the name of the requester. It should never have happened. What optics were being put out to the public with this going out? We said the whole thing should be stricken, and they've just said the only thing that's stricken is the officer won't get the name of the requester. And what happened is, what's going to happen is officers will still get that they have the automatic discovery of that. Do firefighters get it? Do other bargaining units? Is this something that every bargaining unit is going towards? I don't know, but I would certainly like to have that answer. And Vice Chair Palmisano, I see that Chair Wansley is back. I was asked how much time I had to present, and I said up to 30 minutes, including questions. And I just wanted to make sure that you certainly were aware of that.
Yeah, sorry, I did a restroom break and wasn't aware that that had happened. So yes, we clearly curated this presentation beforehand. Please feel free to present. We do recognize we're here till 9, and if those who can't stay here, you're more than welcome to leave too, but want to be respectful, please continue.
Thank you. We'll go on to slide number 20. We're going into accountability. We felt accountability covered many different topics. One was indemnification. I don't know if the public knows that when an officer who is totally off duty gets involved in something that results in a civil lawsuit or a criminal case, the city pays for the lawyer. You can pay for the fees. That's called indemnification. Why are we doing that? Why couldn't that simplest thing have been taken out of the contract? We said one of our recommendations is that when you hire officers from other police agencies, that they have to sign and have to be trained, that they understand our standards for human dignity and life that are very nicely ensconced in the policy and procedure manual. What is so controversial, so conflicting, that the city and the Police Federation couldn't put this in the contract? I don't know. One of the biggest things that we've been hearing about is coaching. And the changes to coaching are minuscule. The only change is that when coaching is ordered, the language is now stricken that says it can't go in a personnel file or disclose to the public. But without affirmative language that it can go into your personnel file and it can be disclosed to the public, it's controversial. If I'm an officer and I've been ordered for coaching and then I'm told it's going in my personnel file, I might well appeal that and I might well win. What's even more disconcerting is there's nothing that bars coaching from being used for any offense. And it's been abused. We know that from media articles that were written, from a lawsuit that was filed. And we know that coaching is not the type of is not the type of action we want with serious offenses. I think some of you are familiar with Paul Ostro, who is a former city council president, and back in February, he said the city of Minneapolis has contrived a way to conceal police misconduct from the safety by calling it coaching instead of discipline. Abuses continues unabated. The authority to hide sustained police misconduct through provisions in the collective bargaining agreement is similarly uninterrupted. Somebody needs to explain why coaching changes are not in this contract. What is the resistance to it? Is it a cynical form of retention and hiring? If you have an officer who's committed a serious offense and you give them coaching, then they're able to show up for the next shift. I don't think that's the optics that we want to create. The only change that I see of significance gives the chief the right to be the final arbiter for grievances when it comes to interpreting the contract. The chief also went on CARE 11 and said, quote, "Those groups that have issues with behavior of police officers can hold me accountable for that," end quote. Well, to me, that's an admission that you didn't cover discipline in the contract. So just hold me accountable. Well, let me tell you why that doesn't work. The police chief is not an elected official. I can't hold him accountable. Number two, any issues of police officers' behavior that are transmitted to the chief will end up where the same way that the chief's own 3 complaints last year ended up, nowhere to be found. You cannot just disclose this information. 3, there is a process. It's called filing a complaint. It's called going through intake and investigation in a police review panel. So although the CCPO is going through its pains to become effective, it's all we've got. Is the police chief saying, I don't have confidence in this system, just come to me? We don't operate as a chief of police is czar. Our last, one of our last set of recommendations is community of safety of the community. I won't go through this except the field training officer. Tell me why it is it says in the contract that there'll be a standard for what is a field training officer, but there's no definition. That is absurd. So all we said is put a definition in. We gave an example. Did that even get discussed? We don't know because we were closed to closed mediation. But I will say this. The fact that the field training officers are going to get a raise with nothing in exchange is a microcosm of why people feel this contract is failing the public. And if everybody says it's in the consent decrees, great. Then put it in the contract. Show how much you're behind it. When you don't put it in the contract, you are showing resistance. Finally, we talked about officer mental health, and we have specific recommendations. Somebody explain why anabolic testing should not be done, why annual mental health screening shouldn't be done, so we get in advance, in a preventative way, those officers who are suffering from working too much, from critical incident reporting. We can keep them before they file a workers' comp complaint for post-traumatic stress. Isn't that a lot less expensive than the millions of dollars going into payouts? Why is that not in the contract? Finally, and I know eyes roll with this, it's been done for years. Communities United Against Police Brutality have been bringing this up for years and getting nowhere. But the fact of the matter is the Police Federation contract is set up to conflict with the city charter, which is equivalent to our Constitution. So the jury is deliberating, and you are the jury. I'm sorry to hear that there seems to be some push and acceptance that some of the things can be bargained outside of the collective bargaining. And to me, this reminds me of the child's game of keep away, where there's one child who's in the middle, and there are 2 children at each end, and they're throwing a ball. And that child in the middle is constantly struggling to catch that ball, and it seems never ending. This is reform. We're tired of playing games. We're tired of being told during contract negotiations, oh, we'll take care of it outside of the bargaining. But we're never told what can be taken care of, how it can be taken care of, and it's not. We're tired when police contract negotiations are over and the contract's approved. Oh, our hands are tied. We can't possibly take this up until we start negotiating again. The ball is in the middle, and we are tired of grabbing for it. We are saying that the contract is a viable tool. It has not been used. We got 22% wage increases. We do not have proportional benefits. The fact that it is so uneven shocks the conscience. And we are saying that this contract and the way it is proposed to be funded doesn't meet the community standards that we want. We, Minneapolis for Better Police Contract, along with many of our endorsers, are calling for you to vote down this tentative agreement and send it back to mediation.
Thank
And
you.
I just want to
Madam
say,
Chair.
Sorry, Vice Chair.
Madam Chair, people have been waiting 2.5
Vice Chair.
hours to speak.
Vice Chair, I need you to
They
not
will
interfere.
get 2 minutes when they do.
Vice Chair, you are
and
not the
let's adhere
chair.
to this 30 minutes.
Vice Chair, you are not the chair of this meeting. I will remind you to please adhere to decorum. We already set a presentation. You just interrupted our presenter. If you do that again, I will ask the clerks to turn your mic off because we literally have went through this process.
I'd like us to all adhere to the time allotted.
We have already communicated that. I need you to step back into your role. Thank you.
thank you. I will end with this. If you go to the city's dedicated webpage for the police contract, you will see that it says, if the city council does not approve the contract, it will move back to mediation. That is key. If it goes back to mediation and it's done right, it still comes back to you. It still goes back to the Police Federation for members to vote on. So there is a chance to improve this contract. And I will just say, I appreciate that when people don't like the arguments that we're making, we get called names or we get shut down. But I really see that all of you have been very attentive, and I really want to thank you for that. And Kim and I are available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Stacy. And just to also remind my colleagues in the public, we scheduled this meeting, adjourned meeting from 5 to 8. The captioners will be here to 9 p.m. We will make space for who were signed up here, the city staff, the presenters, the testifiers, and then take up the item. So with that said, we can open up for discussion. If there's any questions, I will check the queue. I don't see any. Oh, we're, Jeremy. Councilmember Ellison.
I did press the button, but it just takes a minute to travel to everyone's computers. I just wanted to thank you for the presentation and you know, you all being very engaged in this process. We're interested. We're about to have a public hearing, and we're interested in what members of the public have to say about this contract. You know, we deal with a whole host of issues, hundreds of issues per agenda, and so we kind of have to be these broad experts that kind of understand things as best as we can, but members of the public also have a tremendous amount of insight in a lot of these topics, and so I wanted to thank you all for that, and just make sure that your presentation was appreciated, and also just say that, you know, I did want to avoid some kind of bizarre back and forth, but I am interested in other members of the public coming in presenting, especially if the chair's motion to have a second public hearing is allowable and moves forward. I think it's completely appropriate to have other members with different views come and present before the council. And so just wanted to make sure that my colleague, Councilmember Palmisano, knows that while I didn't want to make amendments to this agenda, I am more than happy to have those other presentations at other agendas, as well as the presentations that we just had. So thank you all, and I don't have any questions.
Thank you. And I just want to say we're 100% in support of other groups supporting, whether they support our view or not. Again, this is what makes democracy work.
Awesome. And then I do want to let my colleagues know that I already sent out prior communications to you all about how to get on the agenda for July 8th. That deadline has passed, but we do have additional groups who have signed up for July 8th, as you mentioned. So I look forward to those presentations. And with that, I will ask the clerks to receive and file. Oh, sorry. I saw council. You're good? Okay, thank you. I will ask the clerks to receive and file that presentation. With that, I will actually propose just about a 3-minute recess as we go. Unless folks want to press through for public comment. All right, cool. Some of y'all be acting tired sometimes during these long meetings. So we can transition into the public comment period. Once again, if you have not signed up, you can come and sign up with the clerks here. I believe on the first floor there is also staff there who are signing up folks. We have about a little, no? Okay, I heard. All right, I misheard from the security staff. All right then. Well, you have to come up here to sign up. So first, We do have, and I'm going to apologize for mispronunciations already. We have Reverend Ian Bethel, which we have the clock here too. Each testifier would get 2 minutes. And please feel free to step forward.
Madam Chair, and to all of these illustrious council persons, I'm Ian Bethel, Senior Pastor, New Beginnings Baptist Ministry, South Minneapolis. I'm also the chair of the Unity Community Mediation Team, which on the city's website does have our memorandum of understanding. My dear, a great presentation. It covers everything in the MOU, but we're not here today to talk about the MOU. What we're here today is to have our communications director and also one of our directors, Tim Scott, and we have the Young People's Task Force here. We've been working on this issue now for more than 20 years. People have died, gone on. And I'm glad you call me Ian Bethel, because I never call myself Reverend, never call myself Pastor. And we have sat with the Minneapolis Police Department in the past 3 years and have updated the original agreement we had with the city and city council that some people said was gone, but it's back. And we meet every day. I got it here, the signature. It's from the Minneapolis Police Department. It's been vetted by the city attorneys. Chief, I thank you, sir, that the work we continue to do and your staff for this city. PCRC, Police Community Relations Council, is where everybody can come once a month and we will get this work done. And to you, sir, we look to see you when we make our report to the city about all of our achievements that we've done together. I'm saying this today, Madam Chair, not reform, transformation. The charter transformation is to approve this contract. That's one step toward where, Ellison, to where we all got to go together. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And then number 2, we have Al Flowers, and I'll just read the folks who are also on deck after Al Flowers. We have Tim Peterson and then Greg Flesness.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just here. I'm gonna get my little 2 minutes in because I should get 3% through this. But yeah, no, I ain't gonna go there. But what I want to say is my concern about this. I'm not gonna get into that argument what should pass, but that's not a top priority in the African American community. We got a priority of drugs. We got a priority of us killing each other, and so I'm trying to see what we do. We working with the UCMT, with the police, with the PCRC. We working with those things to move our community forward. If you look in the settlement agreement, everything in there is what Pastor Bethel said in the MOU. If you look at it, when you talk about black and Native people, we the one we're discriminated against. So we got to build a relationship. We can't get bogged down talking about this. But I'm glad Stacy and whoever that they working on it, that they doing something, that they get something together. But this is our priority. And when I look at it, because we have things like where we got in a county that said we can let our 10 to 13-year-old little black kids ride in stolen cars and we might not do nothing. We have to figure that out. We live in a county where Zari McKeever, with a black person stood over her and shot her, and then and they were saying that he should get out. So these are problems that we have, and that we got to work with the city, the county, and state to regroup our community, the African American community. That's what I think about, and just to be here. I'm not going to discourage anybody from do your fight, but our fight is about saving our people from dying, not this right here. And my disappointment in the whole city council, when Juneteenth come around, we didn't get a resolution for Juneteenth. In our city, in this city, we didn't get a resolution, and we also didn't get a resolution, Madam Chair, for our good officer, our hero, a black African-American hero in Jamal Mitchell. I haven't seen it.
Yeah,
So,
thank
so
you,
that's
Aqua. Thank
that's what
you.
I want to say. I'm not here to
Yeah.
tear nobody down, but I'm thinking about
you.
us and giving us a little more respect.
Thank
and
you,
this
Al.
one respect right here. You can't speak
Yes.
for us.
All right, thank you, Al. Next, we have Tim Peterson.
I'd like to reclaim Pastor Bethel's 30 seconds. Thank you, Madam Committee.
Oh, I'm sorry, that's not how that works, but you got your 2 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Committee President and Vice President. I'm Tim Peterson, Ward 13, 15-year veteran of the United States Air Force and the Minnesota National Guard. I'm speaking in favor of voting for the pay raise for the Minneapolis police officers. I'm a board member of the PCRC and the UD Community Mediation Team. We're going to build a relationship with the police force, but also holding them accountable to our core values of this great city. It has been 4 years since the civil unrest. Thankfully, we do not have the same police force that we did then. While our force is not perfect, they deserve to be recognized for their hard work and progress. We also need to recognize their sacrifice and the trauma that they endured to bring peace back to our community. What I learned being a leader in the military is that we need folks to be held accountable when they fall short of our core values, but we also need to recognize them when they uphold our core values, as example for those that fall short of them. Just like our students, if we keep putting them down, they will never rise up to their full potential. I believe our current police force needs to be built up just like we build up our students. They won't always get it right, but they're making progress. We must not forget our officers are members of our community, and we must build a stronger relationship with them. The entire world is watching. It's our obligation to lead this police reform by example for the country. That's why we need to support not only a raise for these officers, but 5-star recruiting and retention raises every 3 years. Don't believe the extremist lies. Our police are not stormtroopers for the capitalist oligarchy. We literally have the Socialist Rifle Association and the Communist Revolutionaries of America recruiting on our streets, calling for more political violence. We must guard against this with all of our hearts and minds so that the children of the free world can grow and succeed together. Council members that are afraid to vote for this, think of how it felt for Officer Jamal Mitchell to answer calls without a partner. And remember that this vote could prevent another hero from being murdered on our streets. Thank you. God bless.
Thank you, Tim. Next, we have Greg Hessness, and then Brenda Short on deck, as well as Janet Court.
Good evening, Madam Chair and committee members. Greg Hessness from East Harriet, lifetime Minneapolitan. I also had a 40-year police career. The first 28 years with Minneapolis, last 9 of those were as deputy chief. I went on to serve for 12 years as police chief at the University of Minnesota. I was a member of the negotiation team on behalf of the city of Minneapolis 4 times in collective bargaining agreements with the Federation and a number of times additionally at the university. I rise to speak in favor of the contract. An established labor agreement is not a blank slate. To add or remove items from that agreement requires collective bargaining. The contract proposal before us accomplishes a number of important things. What might stand out are the salary increases, and that is important. We've fallen behind compensation in the metro area, and MPD has become grossly understaffed, perhaps in part because of that. In my opinion, Minneapolis is the most challenging but also the most rewarding place to be a police officer. My most frustrating experience in contract negotiations was a tendency of the city to give up management rights in lieu of compensation over the objection of police administration. Year by year and over time, the loss of management rights restricts our ability to manage MPD and service to our community. I've read the current proposal. It's groundbreaking in that it begins to recover management rights that are essential to reform. Compensation alone is not the only incentive that attracts and retains the best police officers. Fair compensation does eliminate a disincentive. To hire and retain the best police officers and get their best performance, all of us, especially elected officials, must visibly recognize good police officers and the good police work they do. So, thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Next, we have Brenda. Oh. Thank you, Brenda Short. And then again, after Janet Court, I have Aileen Johnson and Susan Field.
We are here today to discuss a critical issue that affects every resident in Minneapolis, the police contract. As a mayor candidate, it is our duty to address this matter head-on and make necessary changes. We need a contract that promotes transparency, ensuring that the investigation of our police officers' behavior are fair and accessible to the public. The existing contract does not address unused force policies. It fails in de-escalation methods. The contract is a large portion of the city's budget, leaving less of the funding for our unhoused neighbors, mental health services, and our social workers. The contract process should involve the community members. Their voice matters. They deserve a seat at the table. Reforming the police contract is not an option, it's a necessity. As a future mayor, I'm committed to ensure that our police officers are served and protect all residents while being held accountable. I'm asking you to help the community fight for a fair contract. We, the people, will no longer be silenced. Funding this contract will force more renters and homeowners out of their homes. I believe the mayor and the city council should be building bridges between the community and the police department. Let us build the Minneapolis where safety, justice, and community well-being at the front of our priorities. We are asking the city council to stand together and make changes for the better of Minneapolis. Thank you for your time. My name is Brenda Short.
Thank you, Brenda. Next, we have Janet Court and then Aileen Johnson.
Yeah.
Thank you, Eileen. Thank you for the help.
Committee Chair, Vice Chair.
I'm sorry, Eileen, can you bring the mic down? Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, Committee Chair, Vice Chair, and the members, and also the additional council members who are here. My name is Janet Court. I'm in Ward 9. Actually, for 20 years, I've been testifying about various kinds of police issues, and there's been 4 police chiefs and 3 mayors and 3 civilian service review boards, and also just countless city council people. Actually, the way the police runs has largely been the same for 50 years, and there's been some tinkering around the edges, and obviously, within the last 20 years, almost everybody that I mentioned have been trying to make reforms. The current system, and especially the raises, it's really too expensive. And what it takes is all of the resources so that all of the other people that are needed, all of the civilian people that want to work on various kinds of both police and safety issues, there are not resources left for those people, and that leaves especially our poor neighborhoods really not feeling as safe as we should. Basically, I find this a very complex issue, and really what I'd like to urge you to do is to vote your own conscience, to vote if you think that you've achieved enough, then vote for it. If you think that this is deficient, then vote against it.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank
you. And then Eileen is next, Johnson, and then I believe this is Susan Field on deck.
Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Thank you, committee chair and council members, for this opportunity to speak. My name is Eileen Johnson, and I am a resident of North Loop. I am president of the Minneapolis Police Honor Guard and Color Guard Foundation. My late husband, Charlie Herzog, was an MPD officer who served in the 5th Precinct. I tended the memorial for Officer Jamal Mitchell at the 5th Precinct for 13 days and nights. During this time, I had the opportunity to speak with hundreds and hundreds of mourners who came each day to pray, share their stories, and pay their respects. Overwhelmingly, the mourners were ordinary people of all creeds and colors, with a majority coming from the Latino, Black, and East African communities. Their messages were of admiration for Officer Jamal Mitchell, of sorrow for his family, especially for his children, and of respect and support for MPD. They expressed distress at the dwindling number of officers in our beloved city. They shared how this has had a negative impact on their daily lives. They also expressed dismay that officers are not better supported by the majority of the city council, and especially not in regard to pay. These are ordinary people who understand the importance of good pay for themselves and their families and believe that it is important for officers as well. I urge the City Council to support this police contract. I also urge the City Council to find a way to supplement this contract with hiring bonuses and mid-contract retention incentives. Signing bonuses and regular incentives are now common practices across law enforcement agencies. Without these, MPD is not in a competitive position to recruit and retain officers. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Eileen. And next, I see Susan Field, and then on deck is David Evinger.
My name is Susan Field, and I hope my comments matter to at least some of you on possibly the most important issue of your tenure. When a rock star of a police chief negotiates a contract and tells you you need it, he needs it, believe him. You can't run the largest city in the state without police. There will always be creeps in the street like the one who recently murdered Jamal Mitchell. The dwindling number of officers on your watch is not sustainable. No one condones a bad cop like Chauvin, but let's be real. Social workers don't run toward gunfire, and they don't solve crimes. I ask you to abort the activist chaos. I ask those of you who deceptively campaigned in support of police to do your job. Two equally applicable sayings come to mind on your deficient leadership. If you build it, they will come. And if you only have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. The disrespect shown by many of you for our police force is a haven for criminals. You have built it, and they have come. Criminals know you've tied the hands of our police. Your attempt at leadership is embarrassing. Residents don't care what color our officers are in our city. We just want safe streets. They don't care what color the criminals are. We know we need cops for public safety. We ask you to put down your hammers and listen and lead. Criminals aren't going anywhere anytime soon. Thank goodness for the MPD and Lugar, who have taken dozens of gang members and hundreds of guns off the street. They are doing their job. Now do yours on behalf of the safety of your constituents. Do the right thing and improve the police contract.
Thank you, Susan. Next, I see David Evinger, and then Donna Ness is on deck.
Good evening, council members. My name is David Evinger. I live in Loring Park. This contract's not perfect, but I do ask that you approve it. The subject contract provides a 21.7% increase over time. Percentages can be confusing and sometimes deceptive. Does 21.7% get us where we need to be? This increase leaves the Minneapolis MPD officers with lower compensation levels than many other departments just in our metro area. That's wrong. Minneapolis should have the highest compensation level in the metro area at least. We have recruitment and retention problems. This contract may not solve those problems. As Eileen mentioned, we may need to add signing bonuses and regular extra incentive compensation over the next 10 or 12 months while this contract is still in play. But the next time, which is coming up soon, please make sure that our officers have the highest level of compensation, at least in the metro area. Take care of it next time. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Next, I see Donna Ness, and then Stuart Hembry is on deck.
The MPD is one of, if not the most depleted police forces of a big city in the United States. We are down 335 officers since 2020 to the low level of 565 officers. By law, we should have at least 713. In the 3rd precinct, the largest precinct in Minneapolis, we have at most 8 officers on any given shift, many times only 6. Last week, the businesses of Hiawatha Mall met with 3rd Precinct, and they complained about all the crime. And they said, we need at least 6 officers on East Lake Street alone. That's how many we have most times in the whole precinct. The investigative unit that was talked about extensively in this 30-minute presentation is down 50%. And there has been talk of discontinuing property crimes altogether, investigating them. North Minneapolis would suffer the most if this happened, but imagine the outcry if there was a rash of home invasions in West Minneapolis. And there was nobody to investigate it because the Minneapolis department had to discontinue that. And no perpetrator was caused. You know, burglars would be flocking to our city.
Thank you, Donna. Thank you.
Okay.
And also, if you have not finished, you can also submit your comments also online. I have Stuart Henry and then Andrea Corbin on deck.
Hi, my name's Stuart Henry. I'm from Ward 11. I am speaking you to urge you to approve this contract. I think the most important single feature about the contract is it puts more disciplinary ability in the hands of the chief. And as far as I know, the only person in this discussion who's actually had experience turning around a problematic police department is the chief. So I think that's a key reason to support him. Second, I think I don't understand, well, from today's discussion, it sounds like this is an up or down vote you all are facing. And then if it doesn't go to that, we can extend it out to mediation. The previous speaker misspoke when she said the number of staff we have. We're actually down to 554. And so my question to all of you is, how low are you really willing to go without approving a contract that we can really get some more officers on the street? Are you willing to go to 500? Are you willing to go to 400? Right now, there's urgency to get a new contract so we can hire new people and put more tools in the chief's hands. Thank you.
Thank you, Stuart. And then I see Andrea Corbin on deck, and then next is Julie Wicklund.
Council members, my name is Andrea Corbin. I sit on the boards of both the Lynn Lake and the Uptown Associations, and I am a small business owner. I have been involved in extensive community outreach in the Uptown corridors, and our situation is dire. We desperately need and want a fully staffed police department so that they can effectively do the job they are professionally trained to do. Our police are our citizens. They are part of our fabric and community while they're wearing their badge and when they are not. They deserve the pay and the work-life balance that increased pay allows them to have, and that reflects the harsh reality of the danger they face every day. What citizens are getting in return with a vote yes on this contract is the assurance that we actually have a council body who has the ability to listen to the majority vote of their constituents. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Next is Julie Wicklund, and then Cara Hartzell, who's on deck.
Hi, my name is Julie Wicklund. Thank you for this opportunity to express how important it is to support the police contract and all persons who have been called to serve as law enforcement professionals. Everyone on this council has stated that public safety is your priority. So now we need you to show this by voting to approve this contract without further delay. I'm a 20-year Minneapolis resident and a public health professional who was the victim of a violent crime. In 2021, my 14-year-old daughter and I experienced a home invasion at gunpoint. My son was upstairs and upon hearing my screams called 911. MPD came fairly quickly, but unfortunately not in time to catch the perpetrator who threatened to shoot us and kill our dog. We were so grateful to the officers who were able to come and assure my daughter that the perpetrator was not still hiding in our house. It was a terrifying experience, leaving a lasting impact. Now that MPD staffing levels are even lower, there are victims that police are not able to reach due to prioritizing the most urgent calls. It is a well-known fact that fear of getting caught and consequences reduces crime, and right now our dangerously low staffing levels, there is no fear. Our officers do not have time for regular patrols and community policing. This must change. Our officers are being put in unsafe working conditions with mandatory overtime, and this is not sustainable. And throwing more money at alternatives cannot change the fact that we do not have enough officers to respond to 911 calls nor build community relationships. Approving this contract will show that you support the people who have chosen this selfless profession. This contract will help with recruitment and retention, and additionally, it not only increases pay, but enhances transparency, as you've heard, strengthens managerial oversight, and allows MPD to better manage their limited resources. This is a win for us all. Voting against this will cost the taxpayers additional money and ultimately could negate many wins in transparency and oversight that are now present. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. We have Cara Harzel and then Jeff Azen on deck.
Good evening. My name is Cara Hartzell, and I thank you for this opportunity to express my support of this police contract. I've been a Minneapolis resident since 1991 and work for the Minneapolis Public Schools in a special education classroom. This fall, my youngest will be a freshman at the University of Minnesota Twin Cities campus. I have a lot of concerns because of all the violent crimes that are happening in Minneapolis, and especially around the University of Minnesota. I am asking for the approval of this contract to help with the recruitment and retention of our police and to show support for all law enforcement professionals. We cannot continue to ask people to do more for less or discriminate against an entire group of people because of the actions of a few. This contract not only includes a significant pay raise to make Minneapolis more competitive, but it also allows MPD to better manage their limited resources and send law enforcement where they are most needed. Please show our city and our police that you support public safety and vote approval of this contract. Thank you.
Thank you, Kara. Jeff Azen, and then I apologize. I can't tell if this next individual is David Tilson. You're from Ward 12. It's lightly written on here, so if you're here, please. But Jeff Azen. Thanks.
Yes. Chairperson Walmsley and Council. My name is Jeff Azen, my wife Joanne, and I moved to Minneapolis from Eden Prairie 10 years ago. We moved from the suburbs because we wanted to have an easy access to the culture and social environment that a major city like Minneapolis can provide. In spite of the challenges of the last 4 years, we intend to stay here. However, we feel very strongly that the City Council needs to move forward and approve this contract. Minneapolis is the largest and most diverse city in Minneapolis. Like all cities, has an obligation, a responsibility to provide its residents, business community, and visitors a safe environment. I believe that a key component of a safe community is found through our police officers. Currently, our police are understaffed, undersupported, underappreciated, as well as underpaid. Therefore, I strongly encourage the City Council to recognize the sacrifices that these officers have made over the last 4 years, both in physical and mental health, and unanimously approve this contract. I also urge the City Council to find a way to supplement this contract with hiring bonuses and mid-contract retention incentives. Simply stated, I believe our police officers should be paid, number one, in the state of Minnesota. Given the challenges that they deal with on a day-to-day basis, it's nice to strive for the top 5. I encourage you to work towards number 1. Thank you.
Thank you, David. And then I see Buzzy Bond, and then on deck is, is David. David is next, and then Buzzy Bond.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Dave Thurkoson. I live in Ward 12. It should be noted that 35 minutes from MFBPC potentially crowded out 16 or 17 equally valid voices tonight. My comments, 1,497 days ago, George Floyd was murdered under the knee of a brutal Minneapolis police officer. That was probably the most galvanizing event in our city's 167-year history, and it was the moment when the entire community became united in demanding better policing for all. Since then, many serious people, many determined people have been acting to fulfill that demand. In our Public Safety Commissioner, we now have a very high-level office entirely focused on better public safety in all of its dimensions. We have a chief who is not only brought here with the mandate to achieve reform, but who has achieved reform elsewhere. He has a track record. We have a police federation president who shows far better understanding than her predecessors that we must have reform and that the police union must be on the side of reform. We have police officers like the late and greatly missed Jamal Mitchell, who demonstrate every day by example what committed public service provided for everyone looks like. We have a population that is divided in many ways, but united as Minneapolitans never have been before in the demand that for an MPD that serves everyone with caring, respect, and professionalism. Now we have a collective bargaining agreement reached through 8 months of collective bargaining process. Let's get this city council in alignment with the commissioner, the chief, the union, the police officers, the citizens. Let's pass this contract now.
Thank you, Dave. I see Buzzy Bond, and then Catherine Shreves is on deck.
As you can probably see by my T-shirt, I am a longtime Northsider. My name is Buzzy Bond. So I've lived in my current Northside house as a homeowner for 45 years. In that time, I have made it a point to get to know officers in my community, just like I get to know city council people, park board people, whoever. And I can tell you, I was shocked when I saw Jamal Mitchell's face on the newspaper and online, because I realized I had met him because he did part of his training at the 4th Precinct. And while he was a great officer, I will have to tell you that if you stop to get to know the officers in your community versus just crabbing about them, that Jamal was not that unique. A lot of the officers, I can name officers in the 1st Precinct, the 2nd Precinct, and for God's sake, in the 4th Precinct, who go out every single day and put their life on the line for this city. Some of whom grew up here. I mean, I can tell you there are officers at the 4th Precinct who went to Henry High School, soon to be Camden High School, who graduated from North High School. The inspector graduated from North High School. They care about our community. I know some of you don't think that, but they do. And they deserve that respect. Sure, are there some bad officers? Oh, absolutely. I worked 33 and a half years in Minneapolis Public Schools, all but 2 of them on the north side. There were some really bad teachers, too. And I've met some really bad city council people. It just happens that way. But you can't throw everybody under the bus because of Derek Chauvin. And you sure as hell can't throw the rest of the city under the bus because you have a gripe with the police. You need to pass this contract. And I will tell you that I negotiated a lot of contracts. You guys need to take a 101 class in negotiations because you don't understand what goes in a contract and what goes outside of a contract.
Thank you, Betsy. All right, we have Catherine Shreves, and then on next is Jane Lansing.
Hello, thank you, Chair Wansley and council members. My name's Catherine Shreves, and I'm here to speak on behalf of the Plymouth Church's Reimagining Community Safety Group, which has been engaged in public safety reform efforts for the last 4 years. So we recommend that the City Council approve the contract, the negotiated contract, and we've already provided, I think, a letter to all the council members, so I'm going to keep my comments brief. But we see wins in this contract on disciplinary issues. We like the fact that the department can retain copies of investigative files and personnel records, even if discipline isn't imposed. We like that privacy is protected for members of the public who ask to see police records. We like that the discipline matrix is a policy outside of the contract, so it can be changed. And we see wins in the contract in terms of giving the police chief some flexibility in dealing with the low number of officers, which is really a huge problem in our city. I don't need to repeat what other people have said. We think the pay boost is good by making us more competitive with other departments, but also it acknowledges the risks that police officers take, and I'm thinking of Jamal Mitchell. I mean, there aren't very many jobs in the city that require going face-to-face with people with guns on a daily basis. We like that the chief can hire civilian investigators, that he's given flexibility in staffing. I think it's really important given how few officers we have right now. So, but that we don't think it's perfect contract. I mean, we think that, you know, since you're going to be going into a new contract negotiation soon, we'd like to see the city try to work with the Bureau of Mediation Services to separate the two bargaining units for officers and supervisors. And I think a lot of people at the sessions that I went to, public sessions, a lot of different groups were recommending that. So key thing, we like the momentum of Commissioner Barnett, Chief O'Hara, and their leadership teams, and thank you for your work. Hope you approve the contract.
Thank you, Catherine. And then Jane Lansing, and then on deck is Susan Reinhardt.
Thank you, council people. My name is Jane Lansing. I am a board member of the League of Women Voters of Minneapolis and also chair of the Reimagining Public Safety Committee. The Minneapolis League has studied public safety since 1971 and most recently published a study in 2021. The goal of our studies, consistent with the mission of the League, is to take a nonpartisan research approach and develop aligned positions across our organization so we can educate voters and advocate for change, and I am here in that advocacy position today. We are asking members of the City Council to please vote yes to approve the police contract. We applaud the changes focused on accountability, enabling the disciplinary matrix outside the contract and not based on past practices, enabling the retention of investigative records and personnel records, even if no discipline results, enabling citizens to request an officer's personnel data anonymously. We support the changes that increase the accountability of leadership, giving the chief the flexibility to assign and reassign transfer staff as needed, enabling the ability to hire civilian investigators, and the pay raise to enable the retention and recruiting. We know that some, whose work we greatly respect, are against the pay increase, citing that it's excessive and we have already overpaid in misconduct lawsuits. I propose that we are paying for our future police force, not our past police force. These changes give the police chief the flexibility and authority to build that police force. The best way to change culture is to remove the barriers to change and hold leadership accountable. Let the chief lead. We also support the transparency and clarity that Article 34 brings by putting all the historical letter agreements into the contract. We know that the contract is not perfect, but it is good, and we encourage you to march forward with good and approve the contract, and my colleague is going to speak to some of the changes that are going to be needed in the future.
Thank you. I'm assuming Susan. And then on deck is Byron Richard.
Madam Chair and council members, I'm Susan Reinhardt. I'm also a member of the League of Women Voters, and I live in Ward 13. Although we asked that you sign this contract, we also ask that you prioritize 4 things for the next contract. The elimination of the 2-day waiting period officers are given after they get a written summary of critical events. This clause means that if another Derek Chauvin-like event happens, God forbid, and fellow officers responded better by reporting it, they would get all those write-ups and then have 48 hours to respond. Number 2, we have to look at eliminating the ability of arbitrators to overcome the disciplinary decisions of the chief unless deemed arbitrary and capricious, which undermines a leader's ability to drive cultural change. Number 3, eliminate any notification of required public records. Public records are public. And number 4, again, petition the Bureau of Mediation Services to separate supervisors, lieutenants, and sergeants from the same bargaining unit as officers they oversee. This is a conflict of interest. Thank you for your consideration to vote yes for this contract. This contract is not perfect, but it is a step forward and allow us to focus on the serious work in front of us to address our public safety. Thank you very much. Thank you for your work.
Thank you, Susan. And then there was Byron Richards. And then on deck is Nick Cope. I don't see. All right, no Byron. Nick.
Those names? I'm sorry, I just couldn't hear the names.
It's Nick, Byron Richard, and then Nick Coke. So I don't see Byron. Oh, yes. Oh, some folks, if they're in the overflow room. Right, so they should have been, yeah. All right, so we will take up Nick Coke, and then if Byron comes, we'll take them up.
Good evening, everybody. Madam Chair, members of the commission, members of the council. I like the way you do business. Good listening, open hearts, open minds. And Councilmember Ellison, I'm not going to add too much detail. I'm just going to go to my bottom line. There's an alignment of 3 big reasons I'm standing to ask for you to vote for this contract: accountability, reform, and public safety. The way they all work together in this current draft sounds real good to me. It is personal. I had a break-in in 2016, and so I do take this to heart, and that's why I'm simply saying, let's please vote in support. Good evening, and thank you.
Thank you, Nick. Next, I see Dave Bicking, and then Janet Nye. Again, if Byron Richard is around, we'll have you go after these 2. Thank you.
Well, I'm just glad I came over here from the overflow room. I'm Dave Bicking, Ward 8, and I beg you to vote no on the contract. I have been following the Police Federation contract for about 15 years. My reason is that it has been used as an excuse for inaction on police reform. The City Council, Police Chief, and Mayor have said over and over that their hands were tied by the contract. Yet every 3 years, they would unanimously ratify a new contract with the same language. That changed during the ratification of the last contract. The public was finally able to see and to comment on the contract. The City Council debated it openly, and 5 members voted against it, despite being told they had to vote for it. But in the end, we got essentially the same contract without any reforms. But we were told that next time, the contract would have significant, even transformative reforms. That promise has been broken. There is very little positive change in the wording of the contract, and again, we are told that this has to be rushed through and it must be approved. We are promised that reforms can and will be enacted outside of the contract. If we believe this latest promise, we are fools. Now we are told that we should rely on holding the chief accountable. He says so himself. How are the public and the city council supposed to do that? The chief reports to the mayor, and there are no signs that the mayor intends to hold the chief accountable. The chief doesn't even hold his own officers accountable. According to the discipline decision dashboard on the current city website, only one officer has received discipline in the last 12 months. And that is for an incident in 2021, nearly
Thank you.
3 years ago.
Dave, thank
Yeah.
you. Sorry, if you got to wrap up. It's
Okay,
done.
the
you're-
MPD cannot reform itself.
Thank you, Dave. And then Janet Nye, and then Latanya Reeves is on deck.
Hello, everyone. Jan Nye, and I live in Ward 6. Since the death of George Floyd, not much of any substance has been done to prevent another such event happening. The woeful Community Commission on Police Oversight has been a shambles from the beginning, culminating in the removal of the Director of Civil Rights Department, Albert Gillespie, and the sudden resignation of John Jefferson, Director of the OPCR. The commissioners tasked with evaluating cases are moving at a glacial pace, caused partly by chaos in the leadership, and some stemming from a seeming lack of interest and some hostility toward public input on the part of certain commissioners. Now the MPD wishes for the council to approve the newly minted contract, which seems to reward officers for behavior that too often leads to fatalities of suspects, placing officers in the position of judge, jury, and executioner. A volunteer group, Minneapolis for a Better Police Contract, worked hard to be heard on common sense suggestions that would make the job of policing safer and less stressful. They were rewarded by the negotiations being taken behind closed doors. The message to officers of the present contract is that they will be rewarded for taking the law into their own hands. Derek Chauvin's behavior has actually reaped rewards for MPD officers and put into glaring perspective the relationship of Minneapolis residents to the basic right to be safe in their homes and when out and about. I believe I speak for many in saying that our safety in Minneapolis is being held ransom by the worst element within the Minneapolis Police Department. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Latanya Reeves is up next. And then I believe this is Gail Smith. You're up next.
Hello, council members, President Wasley, and everyone else. My name is Latanya Reeves, Ward 7. And so I'm a union president, and I'm definitely in support of this contract. There has been a TA that has been reached. It's inappropriate to be having conversations about going into a contract when a TA has been done. It's concerning to me because a lot of people say they're pro-union on the city council, but you have an agreement between two parties. If it goes to mediation, they're going to approve it because the agreement is between the two parties. They don't have a concern if city council doesn't appreciate it. They have a concern that the parties are in agreement. If it goes to arbitration, they're going to approve it. And so it's clear that a lot of people don't understand how contracts work. And I believe that you guys get paid $109,000 a year, which is one of the highest paid for city council. I want officers to get high pay. They do much more on the street. And I appreciate the work that you do, but we have officers who put their life on the line and deserve a base pay that's higher, and it's not even $109,000. We have officers out here on the street that are getting overtime because there's not enough officers. That's why they're making $200,000 a year. How can you sustain officer well-being when you have so many people on the street working so many hours? I don't see any city council members working 100 hours a week. I don't work 100 hours a week. I don't get paid $109,000 a year. I would ask city council to appreciate the work that these officers are doing for us, that they appreciate the fact that the contract may not be perfect, but it is a TA between two parties, and it's not appropriate for the city council to be involved in that. You can definitely do policy. Absolutely. We need policy change. Absolutely. Many police policies, many comments from the community. We need that, but it's not a place in the contract. Discipline matrix in the contract to have officers be able to approve their own discipline and negotiate their discipline. I don't understand that. So it's clear that people don't understand how contracts work. And someone said go back to a contract class. I would encourage that. And I just want to finally say rest in peace, Officer Mitchell. Thank you for your service. Well done, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Gail Smith up next, and then Doris Overby on deck. Gail Smith. All right. If not, Doris Overby, you're up next, and then Kim Millard is after you.
Madam Chair and council members. My name is Doris Overby, and I live in the 12th Ward, which is the 3rd precinct. I support, along with my neighbors, the police contract. The 3rd precinct is the only precinct out of 5 that is represented by 5 council members. It is our hope that all 5 of our council members in the 3rd precinct will support the police contract. The 3rd precinct is the largest geographically and the most diverse out of the 5 precincts. There are only 518 on-duty officers in the entire city of Minneapolis, and there is funding for 731. Given the population of Minneapolis. Our police chief, O'Hara, and our public safety commissioner, Barnett, are excellent leaders, and they are doing good work to reform policing and recruit and retain police officers. Let's hope that our council members will agree that we have these great leaders and show support for Chief O'Hara, Commissioner Barnett, and our police officers by approving the police contract.
Thank you, Doris. Next is Kim Millard, and then on deck is Andrea Gaston.
Hello, I have already been introduced. I just want to note that today, on June 25th, marks 3 years since the date that to the day that Derek Chauvin was sentenced to 22 and a half years in prison for murdering George Floyd. During that trial, MPD scapegoated him. They treated him like a bad apple, like he was an aberration, rather than what he was, which was the product of a system well practiced in racist policing. Enter the MDHR and US DOJ investigations. We know what happened there. The DOJ said that MPD created the very conditions which allowed George Floyd to be murdered. Put differently, Chauvin was not an aberration. He was the example that MPD elevated for rookie officers to emulate. About the FTO program, the MDHR report highlighted the specific issue that the police chief could sustain findings that an officer used excessive force, yet that officer could remain a field training officer. Before and still after the murder of George Floyd, the contract said that only officers in good standing could be field training officers. But it never defined good standing, and it didn't prevent Derek Chauvin from being a field training officer, nor from murdering Floyd. One of our recommendations is that the contract define what officer in good standing means. Our definition would have made Derek Chauvin and others like him ineligible. The city claims it would be too much to add that simple sentence. It wants us to accept a contract that maintains the status quo in terms of accountability and trust promises that it's never before kept, that it will enact reforms outside of the contract. We believe in higher wages, but they should be matched with commensurate accountability. This contract should be sent back to mediation, which is where the city has said it will go if it's voted down, until the city produces a contract that the taxpayers of Minneapolis deserve.
Thank you, Kim.
One with deep transformational reforms. Thank you.
Next is Andrea Gaston, and then Tim Hart is on deck. No Andrea. And then apparently there
It might
is
be-
not a lot of people in overflow, so.
Madam Chair, it might be
Yeah.
Andreas.
Andreas Gaston. I see, well, until they show up, I see Tim Hart, and then Nat. Oh, there we go. Andreas right here, Tim Hart, you're next.
Despite consistent claims that crime is down, no one in my South Minneapolis neighborhood feels that way. In the last few years, this is the crime story in a 1-block radius around my home. My neighbor's house was broken into, both cars stolen. The neighbor across the street, car stolen. My lower level tenant's stereo system was stolen from his vehicle. 2 of the 4 commercial buildings at the corner burglarized, one of them twice. All commercial buildings tagged with graffiti multiple times. and a carjacking on the parkway behind my house. This is not an inclusive of every incident, but I hope it illustrates my point. Having a fully staffed police department is a baseline expectation of taxpayers and citizens and is a proven deterrent to crime. Being a sworn officer in a major city like Minneapolis carries greater risk and stress than the surrounding municipalities. Thus, it stands to reason to recruit the best, we must compensate them in a commensurate manner. We all want to retain and acquire the best officers that will make the right decisions in high-stress situations. Approving this contract is objectively the first step in getting crime under control across all wards. It is the topic of every block party and neighborhood gathering. It is the #1 priority for the city. The time for talk has passed. Take action and vote to approve. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim Hart is next, and then Nat Froylan is on deck.
Hello, my name is Tim. I live in the Hiawatha neighborhood. I think Minneapolis for a Better Police contract did a great job at laying out their recommendations. They are common sense changes that would improve the working conditions at the police department and provide for reasonable oversight and flexibility. That isn't this contract. This contract falls short of what it could be, even with the updated language that it includes. We are 4 years to the month now since members of the City Council vowed to transform the public safety system in Minneapolis, and most of you weren't on the council at the time, but I know that as a whole, all of you believe in creating a kinder and safer system of public safety in the city. And there's been progress to build real resources and alternatives, but fundamentally our police department has not changed. And now it sounds like the mayor wants to strip funding from the improvements that have been made in the past few years. If it had more robust reforms, this contract could be a first step, but as it stands, I don't think this contract does that. And I ask you all to keep in mind that we still need real changes to the police department, and we need to expand, not remove, funding for our alternative resources that we have created. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Nat Froylan, and then Ellen Von Erwarden. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Thank you. My name's Nat Froyland. I'm a resident of Ward 5. I want to first thank the chair and this committee for creating a process for the public to weigh in on this contract. I know that public input on a collective bargaining agreement might be unique, but MPD has a unique impact on the lives of every resident of Minneapolis. And this contract does more than just set pay and benefits. It shapes city policy around public safety. So the public should have every possible opportunity to weigh in, and it was disappointing to hear council members today suggest otherwise. It's part of your job as council members to dig into the details of this contract in full view of the public, like you've been doing tonight. And I want to thank the members of the council who have taken that opportunity to get into the weeds and ask questions of the administration and the police chief in front of the public. I also found the presentation by Minneapolis for a Better Police contract to be enlightening, solution-oriented, and driven by data. And the assertion that it's a waste of time for community groups to present an alternative perspective strikes me as frankly bizarre. I hope this contract will be voted down. It does not go nearly far enough in creating the structural reforms that the mayor promised after the murder of George Floyd. But bringing this process into public view is an important first step, and so thank you for doing that, and thanks for your time.
Thank you. Also, colleagues, we're like 2 away. So, all right, Ellen Vaughn, come through, and then next is Cameron Winton. You're the last.
Madam Chair and members of the council, my name is Ellen Van Iwarden, and I live in Ward 7. Thank you for the opportunity to comment tonight. While this proposed contract does not have everything I want, it makes huge progress in police accountability, transparency, and the ability of police leadership to lead reform. I believe all parties to the contract share the goal of a safer city where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. I believe the best thing you can do to make progress on this shared goal is to approve the contract. Here's how I've reached that conclusion. Since George Floyd's murder, I've been studying community safety and advocating for change in the police culture as a member of the League of Women Voters Reimagining Public Safety Committee. I've also witnessed the increase in crime in Minneapolis firsthand when my 85-year-old mother was mugged in broad daylight just steps from her back door. We have outstanding leadership in our police department and our Office of Community Safety right now. In my professional experience as a lawyer and a nonprofit leader, when you have oversight over outstanding leadership, the wisest thing you can do is give those leaders what they need to succeed in reaching their goals. The police leadership believes they need better pay to attract more police officers and to effectively work to change the department's culture. I believe that not having enough police officers is slowing down our work together to make the change we need. I'm grateful to our police officers and believe they deserve competitive pay. Our league letter to you lays out the other ways that the contract makes progress, and the letter also lays out areas where we believe the contract could be better. I greatly respect the opinions of the activists who've been in this longer than me, and I'm committed to working together with them for change going forward.
Thank you, Ellen. Also, sorry, colleagues, we have one additional and after Cameron. That is not respectful, Councilmember Ellis, the quorum. So we have Cameron Winton, and then after Cameron, for real, we have lastly Cecil Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm Cameron Winton in Councilmember Cashman's ward, Ward 7. When I wake up in the morning and get dressed to go to work, sometimes I put on a suit. Usually I rock the Councilmember Payne look, button-down shirt, some khakis. Some people spice it up a bit with the blazer over there. I wish I had the confidence in style to pull off Councilmember Ellison's look. I don't. I'm jealous. But in contrast to the choices that we're all making, every morning in our city and in our region, 554 men and women wake up, and before they go to work, they put on a bulletproof vest. They put on a bulletproof vest because there's a fair chance that somebody that day might try to shoot them or stab them. And of course, I'm talking about the 554 sworn officers of the Minneapolis Police Department. And I'm talking about them to answer the question that was posed, both from the dais and by opponents of the contract, to say, what are we, the citizens of Minneapolis, getting in exchange for a 22% raise? I think the answer is plain, Madam Chair. We're getting the brave, dedicated services of 554 men and women who put on a bulletproof vest every day to go to work. I deeply respect the commitment that opponents of this contract have shown to this process. You know, we're all in this overheated room on a Tuesday evening when our families are at the lake, and it'd be so much more fun to be there, but we're here because we all care about the same thing. We care about this city. So let's honor that. Let's acknowledge that. And with respect to those opponents, I note that their descriptions of this police force today are unrecognizable to me. As a regular resident, as a community volunteer in my neighborhood, I've gotten to know quite a few officers in the past few years. They're simply unrecognizable. And I honor that trauma from the past, but we have to vote on what's today. We have to move forward and support this contract.
Thank you, Cameron. And then last but certainly not least, we have Cecil Smith.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, my name is Cecil Smith. I'm President and CEO of the Minnesota Multi-Housing Association. MHA is an industry nonprofit representing 2,200 members who own and operate 310,000 rental housing units across the state, serving 600,000 residents, many of whom live in Minneapolis. I'm here today to provide our perspective on the proposed Minneapolis Police Officers Federation collective bargaining agreement and urge the adoption of the contract. Safety is a human right. Everyone wants to feel safe. I've lived in this city for over 30 years. At various times, it hasn't felt very safe. In 1995, when I lived around the corner from Franklin and Chicago, it wasn't safe. But our city improved from those times, and fortunately, I was never a victim of a crime. But since the murder of George Floyd, I have been the victim of crime, including violent crime. I fear for my wife and teenage children moving about the city. I'm concerned that when I call 911, will there be a response? On several occasions, there were no police available to assist me, even in an hour or two. Property managers across our city and the residents who make a home with us all have similar stories. Far too many have been victims of predatory conduct in our community. I'm especially upset for my former resident of 16 years, an elderly Somali woman who was chased through our building by a man we had repeatedly trespassed, but was never arrested. Why? Because it was a low priority for a very short-staffed MPD. Our city has even lost housing to this crisis. Losing another Dundry is something we cannot afford. This contract is your opportunity to do something that will help correct these trends and hopefully one day restore a human right in our city, a sense of public safety. Thank you.
Thank you, Cecil. With that, I will close the public comment period and just want to thank everyone for coming out. As one of the testifiers said, you could have been out at the lake, kayaking, doing whatever, but you joined us today, so thank you so much for that. With that, we will take up our last item, which is the authorization of the collective bargaining agreement itself. I see a number of colleagues in queue, so I will first call on Councilmember Cashman. And I should also remind folks we have the captioners here till 9 p.m. So yes, thank you.
Thank you, Chair Wansley. I believe it's really important to note how much progress has been made with regards to transparency alone on this contract, thanks to years of work from advocates and council members. We are having a public comment period for the first time, and I think that's a really good thing. We deserve that transparency, and this public comment period had 35 speakers, so I thank you all for being here and sharing your perspectives with us. But this isn't the only way that we talk to our communities about this contract. We've had this contract posted online for about 3 weeks now. Through the last 3 weeks, I've talked to neighbors in Ward 7 about this contract at neighborhood association meetings. I've had one-on-one meetings. I even door knocked in my ward to ask people's perspectives on this. And with that, I personally have enough information at this point to vote yes on this contract, given the large majority of Ward 7 residents who are asking me to vote yes. And that's my reflective vote as an elected official of the 7th Ward. So since we have 20 minutes left in this space, I did want to formally make the motion now to move this contract forward for approval and request that we take a committee vote before our time is up.
Thank you, Councilmember Cashman. With that, is there a second? Second. Thank you. If Councilmember Cashman, if you would be amenable, I know that there are folks on queue who are likely not speaking to this particular motion, but would like to just offer general comments. Can we get through those council members and then take up your motion? Okay, thank you. I see Councilmember Vital, who I believe is in queue for Councilmember Rainville.
Thank you, Chair. So I do not have a vote on Councilmember Cashman's motion, but I do want to address the 6 of you who do. And by continuing to delay a vote, we know that our colleague in Ward 6 is not going to be here on that next cycle. So if you choose to delay, you're going to deny the residents of Ward 6 a voice in the vote on the contract. So that's something to consider as you make up the decision whether or not to keep delaying this or to call for a vote on this at the next council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Rainville. As also for a public record, we're not able to vote or count votes or anything up here, so just want to note that. Councilmember Ellison, you are in queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I first want to start off by thanking members of the public who came here to speak on this today and to give testimony today. You know, I have had the opportunity to be a part of these conversations on past councils, and I think a number of my colleagues have as well. And I have, so far in my career, not been in a position to support a contract. And I came into this process with our professional staff, I think, doing an incredible, you know, certainly more than usual to engage the council on things that we want. Again, I mentioned this earlier, but I've been very encouraged by the LOAs, the MOAs, and those kinds of things. But I'm left wondering if we're really getting our true value in this negotiation. And the truth is that today I don't know. I heard a lot of great testimony that I want to be able to sit with, that I want to be able to consider. I have a few more questions for staff that I want to be able to consider. But I think that you're going to find that on this council, folks are interested in, in having good relationships with cities, with our city staff, with our workforce. Folks are interested in making sure that we have a competitive workforce, that we have a functioning department, and so that interest exists on this body. But I think there was one of the actually the Ward 5 testifier who who mentioned that we sorry, my phone keeps buzzing and I lost my train of thought a little bit with that. I do want to say that I appreciate Councilmember Cashman's motion. I'm not going to be supporting it today. I do want us to have another day to be able to hear from further testimony from more folks. But I was very encouraged by today's action. You know, this contract is not about who we like, who we think is great in what position. This contract is not about rewards or being punitive. This contract is about what are the residents getting for the value that we're putting into it. That's the question that we've got to answer. And so, you know, sometimes I get a little bit disturbed when it's all about, if you support so-and-so, then you'll pass this. The council does have a voice in the contract. If we didn't, it wouldn't come before us for a vote at all. It's not inappropriate for us to have our opinions about what happens and how things move forward, right? If it was, it wouldn't come before us at all. I think one of the earlier testifiers, I believe the woman Janet, she said, you know, I implore you to vote your conscience, right? And I thought it was funny we don't get that kind of testimony where folks are, you know, it's usually one side or the other. And I appreciated her perspective because because I'm not up here to tell my colleagues or shame my colleagues for whatever vote they're ready to take today. But I do want to say that it is critically important that we recognize that the service that police offer is just unique. We can compare it to other bargaining units, but the service that police offer and the power that they are given is just unique. Yes, they have a tremendous amount of responsibility, but if you're a comic book nerd like me, you kind of know where this is going, right? With great responsibility, you know, with great power comes great responsibility. They have to be held accountable to a different standard as well. Are the people of Minneapolis getting that? That's the central question. So I just wanted to offer that and thank folks for their testimony. The gentleman who was a former, you said you're a former MPD as well. You talked about how we deferred management rights in lieu of increasing payments, and I think that, you know, we should learn from history and see that that was probably a mistake, right? That having some authority, that having some agency over how this department runs is critically important. My question is, does this contract do enough to advance us in that direction, in addition to providing, you know, a pretty huge pay increase? So with that, I appreciate Councilmember Cashman's motion. I won't be supporting it today, but I look forward to further testimony if this council passes that, and I will be supporting a delay.
Thank you, Councilmember Ellison. Vice Chair Palmisano.
I want to thank Councilmember Cashman's initiative, especially doing all of her homework, as we've been talking about this since much longer before you became a council member. And she's been working hard at catching up, and we've all had dozens of conversations in public and in private, in closed session about it. But the simple question before this body is yes or no. If the answer from the majority of my colleagues is no, we return to mediation, but realistically, as it's been said in this room tonight, end up in interest-based arbitration. That route will surely not be more favorable for the city and for the reform efforts that we all care about. Arbitration would almost certainly result in the same amount of compensation without any of the management rights returned, which was the whole point of this protracted negotiation. So let's move this contract forward for a vote before the full council this Thursday. It's been here 2 cycles with this council already. There have been historic levels of community engagement on this contract. We, the public and the council, have been in conversations about it for years. And I'm glad we've had an opportunity to hear from residents tonight. That's important. And for the past year and a half, our labor negotiations team has had regular meetings with council members to provide updates on this contract. 2 weeks ago, we spent nearly 6 hours in closed session with Director Odom, City Attorney, Chief O'Hara, Margaret Anderson Kelleher, going through this contract line by line. Delaying this comes at the cost of public safety. It comes at the cost of more police officers, and most importantly, the very residents that this body is supposed to represent. It comes at a cost to them. We cannot continue to slow walk nearly every important decision that comes before this body. There's nothing progressive about refusing to make progress on these issues that matter the most to the residents of this city. I think this is the time for council members to show leadership. You say public safety is your #1 priority, and it means nothing if you don't actually act on it. So let's not delay this decision. Councilmember Ellison used a comic book analogy, and so I'll end with this. We can't always get what we want, but if you try sometimes, you just might find we'll get what we need. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair Palmisano. Up next is Councilmember Vitaw, and then Council Vice President Chuck Time. Thank you, Chair. Thank you all so much. I'm so proud of everyone who spoke here tonight. It was so hot in here, and you stayed and you spoke, and you didn't yell at us, as Councilmember Ellison said you would, because you were overheated. So I really do. I appreciate every single person, especially the Northsiders who showed up. Northside represent, woo. Yeah, and so I've been talking about this since I ran for office. This was something that when I knocked doors in 2021, almost everyone on the North Side wanted to talk about. So it's not new to me. What you all are saying tonight just reaffirms why I want to move forward on this week, right? Like, I've been hearing this. As the chair of public safety, I sat on the mayor's work group and talked through this contract and, communicated back to my colleagues in my last term the things. And a lot of the things that my colleagues are saying is in this contract. A lot of the things that advocates have asked for is in this contract. No, we didn't get everything. There's some things that I'm going to keep fighting for. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to celebrate what we have done. I've learned that as an elected official. We have some rough days. We don't always get to celebrate. So when I get a win, I am partying. I am going to celebrate. And I want us to learn how to do that. We've had some hard hits in Minneapolis in the last 4 years. And we need to celebrate when we win. Are we done? Absolutely not. I love a good fight. The fight continues after this. There's more to be done. You all are not going to let us get away with not doing the more. I'm 100% certain of that. If people show up on a Tuesday night when somebody said they could be at the lake or on the kayak, as Councilmember Wansley said, but they come here to talk to us about the police contract, the most meaningful thing to them right now in this city, I believe you're going to hold all 13 of us accountable, no matter who your council member is. So I'm here for it. I'm ready to do the work. I represent my mom on the Minneapolis City Council. She is not letting go. She's already mad because I'm supposed to be with her at the Dakota, but I missed it to be here with you all, right? So she's going to hold me accountable. You're going to hold me accountable. Let's not delay this. It was my duty to work on this since the day I showed up at people's doors saying, I want to be your council member. I want to represent you at City Hall. And those people in Ward 4 believed that I could do it, and I would stand here and represent the majority of the voices in Ward 4. They want this done. They want us to have our police officers back. My ward is saying, show up for our officers, Councilmember Vitaw. That's what we want you to do. We want you to show up, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to show up. I want to vote on this on Thursday so I can celebrate for the next 2 weeks. so I can have a drink and toast to this on the 4th of July and not have to wait until after the 4th of July. So thank you all again for showing up, and I'm really hoping my colleagues are going to we should move this forward. We should really give the city of Minneapolis a victory. We really should be celebrating this win. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Vital, and then Council Vice President Chuktai.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also wanted to join in with other members who've thanked the residents that are here today, who've shared testimony, those who are in this room, who are in the overflow room, which throughout the evening, every time I got a chance to peek in there, was packed. It is a really big deal to me personally to see so many people in our community engaging on this issue and offering public comment on this issue. I'm one of the 5 members that voted no on this contract when it came up for a vote in my first year on the city council back in 2022. And after that, I think I was very graciously invited by Mayor Fry to be a part of a group of council members, city staff, and be an advisory group in helping form what the city wanted to fight for and win and achieve throughout the negotiation process. And in one of our first meetings, something that then Council President Jenkins and I just very fiercely agreed on was the need to do community engagement, was the need to bring the public along in the process, to engage residents before we formulated what we wanted to really prioritize in contract negotiations, and to continue to engage residents along the way. And the first time we brought it up, it wasn't exactly the most popular opinion in the room, and over time, and very quickly it became that. And I'm really, really proud that we chose, and by we I mean the council and city staff and the mayor's office, and the police department chose to engage in such a public process. In the time since we first started getting ready for contract negotiation to now, we've been through 2 labor relations directors, I think 2 city attorneys, and several changes within the police department command staff. And I think it's I'm really grateful that we're at this place. I didn't hear from a lot of Ward 10 residents here today, although I am continuing to engage with residents and hearing from you all over email, over phone call. And I think it was the conversations with residents and how rushed this process was. We got a contract last time at the 11th hour. We didn't even get to see the full contract until really close to the vote last time around. That wasn't the case this time. The public and council members have had a chance to actually meaningfully engage in understanding. So all that to say, I think it is, I think I'm looking forward to continuing to engage with residents as someone who is very open and very amenable because of the things that I see in this contract, that I feel like a part of a team that worked on it. To want to vote for it. I'm not a team that worked on it. I obviously did not negotiate the contract. The council has absolutely no role in negotiating the contract. Yeah, just wanted to thank you for your work on this, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much. With that, and knowing we have 5 minutes left, let's take a roll call on Councilmember Cashman's motion.
Councilmember Vital?
Aye.
Allison?
No.
Cashman?
Aye.
Chuktai?
No.
Vice Chair Palmisano?
Aye.
Chair Wansley?
Nay.
We have 3 ayes and 3 nays.
That motion fails. So I see Council Vice President Chuktai in queue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll move to continue this item by 1 cycle.
Motion to continue, which means we will take this item up at the July 8th AO meeting at 1:30 p.m. With that, Looking for any, nope. All right, let's take a roll call. Oh, sorry, need a motion, second.
Second.
All right, we have a second. Clerks, if you can call the roll on that.
Councilmember Vita,
No.
Ellison,
Aye.
Cashman,
No.
Chuktai,
I'm sorry, I'm sorry, you all. We're trying to conduct business. We hear you from this side. Thank you.
should
Continue,
I start
clerks.
over or continue?
Please start over. Thank you.
Councilmember Vita,
No.
Ellison,
Aye.
Cashman,
No.
Chuktai,
Aye.
Vice Chair Palmisano,
No?
Chair Wansley.
Aye.
We have 3 ayes and 3 nays.
That motion also fails. Clerks, if you can explain what happens in light of both of those motions failing.
Chair Wansley, at this point, a new motion would be in order, although, as you've mentioned, we are quickly butting up against 9 p.m. If this body takes no action today, if there is no dispositive motion, the item will simply be carried over to the next regular meeting of this body.
Okay. I see in 3 minutes we have Vice Chair Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you remind me, I think that motion was to move forward with a recommendation to pass. Was that Councilmember Cashman's motion? So this new motion will be to move it forward without recommendation. And I would need a second.
Second. Great. That motion has been seconded. If we could take a roll call vote.
Councilmember Vita,
Aye.
Ellison,
No.
Cashman,
Aye.
Chuktai,
No.
Vice Chair Palmisano,
Aye.
Chair Wansley.
Nay.
We have 3 ayes and 3 nays.
All right. So with that, we have, it seems, exhausted all motions. So this item will stay on this agenda. It will be taken up at the July 8th meeting. Thank you all. I adjourn this meeting.